just rise again. I'm ready to leave the past behind. I've shed my skin and made up my mind. It's a new time. It's a new time. Watch us come to life. It's a new time. I exhale, breathing out my sins, and I smile as a brand new day begins. I'm ready to leave the past behind. I've shed my skin and made up my mind. It's a new time. It's a new time. Watch us come to life. It's a new time. Watch us come to life. feel the pull of something dark and deep. The urge to be somebody that's not me. He's on my side, the devil in disguise. I feel it running through my veins, yeah. This feeling will break these chains. Poison seeping through my skin, oh. An evil outwards deep within. He will meet you in your darkest dreams. Don't cry for help, no one can hear your screams. He's on my side, the devil in disguise. I feel it running through my veins, yeah. This feeling will break turn if my blood is poison. Where it hurts, I don't feel the same. Painting pictures of a broken vibe, where a part of you had stayed alive. All I do is run, 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 run. All I do is run, 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 run.
System updated.
We will dance to get.
The future of money is here. Feels good.
Players in the world are here.
They can just burn this one down. Oh my god, he'll forward by 9!
You are going to see them like you've never seen them before.
Rocked it well as the Arcane Storm doing so much work, and Genji! They are just going to ace them!
누구 만나도 이길 수 있다는 자신감 정도로만 생각하고 있습니다.
Genji, the EWC winners!
Alright guys, I just landed in China. Let's go.
Play the local way, pay your way.
Have you ever seen the Great Wall at night?
Play the local way, pay your way.
Drake is now Doran, decent position, double
break down my walls, but I won't rise again, cause I stand tall in my environment. How could I ever close my eyes and stay silent since they try to take me down with their violence?
Oh, they go back in, Bishop flashes in, and down goes Knight!
So slow.
I told you I was done with basic browsers. Your setup wants Opera GX, and you're holding it back. Upgrade to the gaming browser. Download Opera GX.
Every moment of your journey, crystal clear. Landscapes, absolutely stunning. Close-ups, sharp and full of vibe. Group shots, packed with detail. Zoom in on one face, still flawless. Colors so real, every scene, every smile, unforgettable. Oppo Find X9 series, Hasselblad telephoto, zoom into detail.
Red Bull gives you wings.
When I was a player, if I was to make a misplay, maybe it's my mouse, maybe it's my armrest, something feels wrong. If you were at home, you wouldn't do that.
The Infinite Precision Armrest is part of the larger Circulab on Stage standard initiative, aimed to bring your home or training room settings to the tournament stage.
이제 저뿐만 아니라 다른 선수들도 세팅을 더 원활하게 할 것 같고
가장 편안할 때 더 강력한 플레이가 자연스럽게 나옵니다.
I got this old thing and the bill from the store where I got it. Figured you could beat it with a better deal on one of these big boys.
It doesn't work that way.
Guess you're not as cool as Verizon.
Bring in your AT&T or T-Mobile bill for a better deal.
You don't know that?
Welcome to Worlds 2025 for day 2 of quarterfinals here in Shanghai at the Mercedes-Benz Arena. We're minutes away from KT facing off against CFO. Both teams are about to make history for their history and for their region as well. We see CFO, they're hyped here as well. They're always excited to be here, and that's going to be the last and only time I am going to utter this word today. KT Rolster was undefeated here in the Swiss stage, and for CFO, it was the first time in 10 years that the region made quarterfinals. Let's take out the signatures from our players here. A lot of focus, of course, on the side of KT. And for CFO, smiles here as well. I'm Laure, and I'm joined by Kobe and Emily. I'm positively animated here. How are you guys doing?
Apprehensive. I'm very apprehensive.
I'm very eager for the series to start.
That's right. That's right. You want to
I'm exhilarated, even getting a little emotional, maybe.
Okay. All right. Wow, you busted out all the EU words except for one. It's good.
All right. Before we get into this, first, we want to celebrate the 15-year anniversary of Worlds, where Riot has been posting a bracket of memorable plays from Worlds history. So let's check out the next round. It is Spray's Ash Arrow versus the Shy's Aatrox against G2.
Trying to punish. They're going to get the inhibitor. Gorilla putting down 5 damage auto attacks, doing what he can to keep mid lane alive because top inhib has been killed, and they even got the pick off on Bang.
Rox doesn't actually have to stop pushing right now. They can delay the recalls. The Ash arrows. Look at the arrow. Get teleport.
He's gonna stop it. He's stopped too, which means they can push. It's now on Wolf. It's a teleport. IG have dotting their eyes, crossing their teeth, trying to get the second Infernal. It's just gone. Going to be taken low, secured by Ning as Jankos goes into the pit, going to start the fight, but it's 1 versus 2. Perks coming in now as well. Ning taken very low, likely going to be killed to start this fight off. Would did able to find some CC onto multiple people. Balon now going to be the target of the Vanguard's edge. Wonder trying to make something happen, but G2 look like they just want to disengage this one now. They already got the pick onto the enemy jungler. Oh! So many people! That's the Aatrox damage! And the
emotional damage of that second play.
Oh, that was
not
a big
fan,
one.
Guys. Not a fan.
It looked good in the music video too. The
yeah.
cinematic version.
Always emotional damage.
At a tournament where the last Rox Tiger is retiring,
that's what I was gonna say.
It has to be praised.
I was like, it has to be the Ash Arrow, and just that team was so special.
Yeah. We bid farewell to the last Tiger yesterday, and it's an honor to have this play here. Now, we'll see more iconic plays throughout the bracket later this tournament, but I want to turn our attention to today's matchup. It is going to be KT Rolster against CFO. Banger matchup.
I mean,
today.
I am personally very excited.
Don't.
Okay.
Okay.
I said it once. You got it out of the way as well.
No.
I do not want to hear any of this today, and that goes for you guys in chat as well.
If theoretically I did want to become a KT fan, though, maybe a KT super fan, what would that entail for me? What would I have to?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because you have 2 KT
Absolutely.
super fans right here, unfortunately for our mental. So we prepared a PowerPoint presentation for you, Kobe.
Okay,
This is your first rule. You don't believe in KT.
All right.
Okay. What if I'm a super duper fan, though?
The second rule is really important. You do not believe in KT. The bigger fan you are, the least you want to believe in them. That is the basic rule.
You don't say the E word ever. See? Okay,
yeah,
we have
we got an example of that word
Okay,
already.
and in case you weren't convinced by that, KT will only disappoint you. Okay, here's some disappointments. Here's some more disappointments. If you want to highlight my personal one that I will always remember is the first year I decided to start rooting for this team. They go up against SKT T1 in the summer finals. I can still see it in my mind. Here's a few more disappointments. We'll move on.
The list goes long.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the first time they actually did well, because they like to keep you on the hook,
this
right?
Looks good. This looks great.
Yeah, this is KT Rolster Arrows in Busan. It was amazing. It was great. Then there was the super team.
Yeah.
Laure and I remember this team very fondly.
The super team I really love, because I actually saw them win against Griffin in Seoul, and then we know what happened after that. It was one of the years where KT actually opened the checkbook because they wanted to recover from the previous disappointment. A very expensive bot lane here. We were favorites. They were favorites rather to win the tournament, and then IG happened, as we know.
Yeah, and I was in the crowd for this, actually sitting with the Korean KT fans. They were so nice, and we were all unified in crying and disappointment, and then I had to go interview Ning, so I had to wipe those tears off my face. this was last year. Laura and I were actually on the desk together, watching them fall to JDG together as Isaac was looming over us laughing.
In person, front row seats.
Yeah. So we've seen a lot of
Honestly, though, a lot of the things you are describing, I actually do relate to as a North American fan.
Okay.
I kind of feel a lot of these emotions that you're talking about.
Right?
And it's actually making me more thoroughly, definitively, positively excited.
Get him! Get him!
Get down!
Emily, no, please! I'm sorry. I won't say it. Emily, okay. I promise. I won't do it. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Emily, no!
All right. Can you calm down?
Okay.
Please.
I think we settled it.
There's one team you can get excited about, though. It is CFO on the other side of the rift. They had an amazing year so far. They're the only team, once again, who made it to all the international tournaments this year, and they have been smashing it in the LCP as well.
Yeah, I mean, they really impressed at first stand, and then at MSI, they pushed T1 to 5 games, and then here at Worlds, they beat T1 in the Swiss stage in the best of 1 again. This team is really gaining a lot of fans because they have really threatened these top teams.
And it has been emotional for their regional casters as well. Again, the first time in 10 years a team from this region makes it to quarterfinals. So I want to check out the casters' reaction because, cutting onions that day.
我们等了很久，10年了，我们曾经跌落谷底，很痛。 很多人笑我们是傻子，但我们傻傻的相信，希望会再次的绽放。CFO， 中信飞姆利，我们的英雄，带我们再次看到希望的光芒。
And you could hear how they're choking up the last time that we saw a LCP, PCS, LMS team make it to quarters, as mentioned, was that Flash Wolves team that kind of everyone fell in love with back in 2015 as the greatest hope for this region. And it's meant so much to see CFO do so well on the stage. There's the old, look at Steak with the hair, young Maple, who, as we already know, is here at this tournament.
Such fond memories of this team.
This team was so fun. And CFO are kind of carrying that legacy, right? And I think it really, really starts with Doggo, who, went through it in the LPL, looked pretty shaky, now is having an amazing year with the CFO team.
Yeah, LCP Doggo is way better than LPL Doggo. It's crazy. And they're paying respects to Flash Wolves at every chance they get. They keep flashing the emotes. I love that. But Doggo, his play has been what has actually garnered them a lot of other international fans that are not LCP fans originally, because he's so aggressive. He plays with no fear ever. He's constantly going in people's faces. He's getting solo kills. He's playing Draven with Hextech, experimental Hextech plate. He's absolutely popping off.
And that's exactly what Shawi, their coach, wanted when he built this roster. And actually, Shox caught up with him in the Verizon Game Day interview.
It's a historical day for CFO and for their coach, Chaui. And the first question I want to ask you is, how is everybody feeling with all the excitement in the air for this super important matchup?
We're actually pretty calm because I always tell the players to just enjoy the moment. And we're just right now just enjoying being in the quarterfinals.
Lovely. The story has been going around that you were casting the team and said, call me, I want to help you out. Can you tell me what it was about this group of players that you found so special and that you in coaching them have discovered to find so unique?
So when I first joined this team, I wanted players who are not afraid to fight, because there's no way any region like ours can beat the top teams from LCK or LPL if we play normally or follow their footsteps. So we're trying to create a team that aren't afraid to take fights. And also we're going to do some crazy ban picks. That's how we managed to have CFO 2025.
I see. And you have attended every international tournament this year. Is this also the reason you think that your team has been able to get to heights that the region hasn't been able to get to for several years?
I feel like another thing that made us succeed this year was we really enjoy the whole process, like the training, the games on stage. We enjoy every moment. So for the players, even if we lose or we make a mistake, everyone is actually enjoying the moments, and we learn from all the mistakes that we did.
I think we've seen that because you've always come back stronger. You're up versus KT now, and you've gone in very close matches versus LCK teams, notably, of course, T1 in that best of 5. So what do you think is going to make the difference today, and what as a coach do you really need to see from your guys to win today?
I feel like, first of all, BDD, I'm also a fan of BDD.
Yeah.
I have been watching him for a long time, and he hasn't gotten the success that he should have. So it's kind of crazy for me because I want my team to win, but I also want BDD to do well.
Yeah.
So, but we'll do our best. Hopefully we get through the laning phase and play the map well. Hopefully we'll beat KT.
Okay. Thank you and good luck. And
thank you very much.
I'm glad you mentioned it about BDD because BDD is also Honkyu's favorite player, and we're sending a spotlight to them in our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Today in the featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz, BDD and Honkyu will face off in a clash of generations. Korea's powerhouse versus the fearless prodigy. For Honkyu, this is more than a game. It's personal. For the young PCES mid laner, BDD is an idol, dreaming of the day he could stand across from him on the world stage. Now, that wish has come true. Honkyu's sharp laning and explosive early game leads CFO through the Swiss stage to reach the knockouts, a milestone no PCS team has achieved in years.
As Whippo able to make his way up, but Doggo finds that last act. Supreme display of talent doesn't work at all. CFO are going to do it after 10 years, making it to the top 8 here at Worlds 2025.
Across the rift, BDD is the calm core of KT Roaster's rise. His clutch plays and the shocking win over Gen G define KT's run. When KT falters early, it's BDD who steadies them with precision and ice-cold control. Will CFO's unshakable spirit pull off another miracle, or will KT's precision and synergy crush the dream and march confidently towards the semi-finals?
And BDD is such a staple of this KT team. He is a primary reason why they're here. But I do want to point out, these teams kind of have opposite strengths, right, Kobe? Because as Laura and I know, sometimes KT, they like to contest early objectives when they don't necessarily have itemization, or maybe some sums are down, or maybe the team isn't unified or don't have TP advantage. And as you can see, it's reflected in these early game stats. However, late game, that's when you really, really see BDD, the rest of the team, really start to show up in these 5v5 fights. I also want to shout out Cuz, especially in their road to get here in that Gen G series that they did end up winning in the upper bracket. So, but CFO, they have a really strong early game.
Yeah, it has been kind of like mismatched areas of strengths kind of for these two teams. Dogtum even talked about it in his interview after some of these KT games where he was like, yeah, our early game has not been very good, but we're really building towards these mid and late game team fights. And KT has had a strength there, whereas CFO, in the games that they have lost, it has been around their approaches to some of these late game objectives. You know, sometimes it's like one player takes a substantial amount of damage pre-objective, or they don't have the vision to actually approach it correctly. And so it is a little bit scary for CFO if that's a mismatch with KT.
Yeah, that's what makes it hard to anticipate this matchup. Expect the unexpected, I think, is the gist here. I want to know what fans have voted here at MasterCard GG on X. They are calling the match for CFO with 52.9% of the vote. They understood the assignment.
The fans understood the assignment. Thank you
very
much.
Barely.
Yeah, it's a little too close for comfort, to be honest. But yeah, thank you for picking CFO.
Absolutely. 5 games here to prove it all and earn your ticket for the next round for KT. It's about breaking that curse and finally making it to semifinals. And CFO, it is about earning their legacy. It is time to kick off our second 2025 Worlds quarterfinals.
Xinxing 淬炼于往昔 或破案而生，或蛰伏而出。
There are tears in the eyes of
Longzhu's faces. They have beaten the gods, and Longzhu Gaming are going to Worlds. Is academic, immaculate, and undefeated as Longzhu and a storm that swept through Group B.
제가 그때 롱주 게이밍에서 T1을 이기고 월드에 진출했을 때는 꿈 같았던 것 같아요. 인터넷에서만 보던 선수들을 실제로 봐가지고 되게 신기했던 것 같습니다. BDD 선수와 2017년도에 있을 때는 제가 항상 배우는 입장이었고 도움을 많이 받았습니다. 그때 아마 막내였었거든요. 그래서 형들한테 되게 좀 잘 융화돼야지 이런 느낌이었다면 2017년도 때 커즈는 프로로서의 준비가 하나도 안 됐다고 생각합니다.
BDD 与 CUZ 2017年，他们被誉为 LCK 新生代之星，但乍响的春雷却归于平静。转眼数年，8强仍是潜能翻越的关山。当期望已烫下记号，你又将如何破局，另创新章？
进到8强的话，就是非常开心吧。也重返这个赛区，让我们能重新回到比较强大的舞台，就是需要证明自己嘛。
因为这是我第1年打1级联赛，我能够进入到8强，就是非常的开心，非常的期待。
CFO 赛区的新生之望，但青出于蓝，便要胜于蓝。
我觉得这 KT 这支队伍就是端得非常的稳健吧，就是防守做得非常好。我一直都很崇拜你 BDD 选手，但是我相信我们这个队伍可以更进步，然后可能爬得更高一些。
而 KT 能否吹散旧日阴霾，迎接曙光？
작년보다 올해는 제 실력에 확신을 가지게 되고 게임이 더 잘 풀린다고 느껴졌습니다. 홍큐 선수, 제가 우상이라고 들었는데 제가 어떻게 이 자리에 올라왔는지 보여드리겠습니다.
KT, CFO. Give your heart and earn your legacy.
全球的英雄联盟粉丝们，大家好，欢迎来到上海梅赛德斯奔驰文化中心，一起见证2025全球总决赛8强赛。今晚我们将共同来揭晓，到底哪支战队能够与金曲会师争夺通往成都的门票。上海，让我们热烈欢呼，迎接今晚的对决 ，KT 对阵 CFO。
Here we go, ready for our second quarterfinal at Worlds 2025. As KT take on CFO, I'm Medic. I'm joined by Dagda and Azael to lead you through what is hopefully 5 games of neck-and-neck action.
And what an atmosphere it is already. The players just walked not 5 feet behind us coming in. They are looking excited. They are looking confident. And I feel like this series is going to be such a treat because it feels very hard to predict. Both teams really have shown us some impressive stuff so far.
You could tell me any scoreline from this series, and I would believe you. It feels like this could really break either way. And as you say, it's like KT going through 3-0, looking absolutely fantastic. But on the opposite side, CFO, a breakout year for these guys. And it is fantastic to now see them making it to the quarterfinals and seeing if they can keep that legacy alive of the Korean killers.
And for players like Hongkyu, you were 8 the last time your region made it to the quarterfinals. Now Inspired, you are 18, you are trying to take them further than they have been since 2012, since TPA were able to claim that world championship. On the other side, you've got KT, who always seem to struggle when it comes to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and they have to get past a region that didn't exist in Season 2. Yeah. Well, the only time their region actually went past the quarterfinals back in that second Worlds ever. So it is going to be pretty incredible. I do think you have a pretty massive task here for CFO, though, when you're looking at strength versus strength. You know, Hongkyu and Junja, people that you really want to focus on this CFO lineup, but you're going up against Cousin BDD, the heart and soul of this team over on the other side. And BDD on his day, I truly believe is the best mid laner in the world. This guy has been stellar for so long. I don't think that he has really had the success in his career that you would expect for someone of that caliber. He just hasn't always had the roster surrounding him to really make it happen, but he truly has a great opportunity here to go to World semifinals.
And he has been the life and breath of this team at this tournament. I mean, so many times they haven't actually found their footing in the early stages, and it's BDD Shockwave that pulls them back into the game. It's BDD who had a fantastic performance against teams like Gen G that solidified themselves the step towards this tournament. And it is going to be the eyes on him to see if he can do it once more here today.
And he's leading all mid laners at CSD at 10 in the tournament. You know, has had a stellar laning phase, has been so stalwart in the later stages of the game. And he's also a player who has a lot of creativity, who can play different pocket picks, which I think really could benefit them here today. I'm so excited to see what the draft is going to be because we haven't seen KT playing for a bit. You know, they undefeated, their only team that hasn't lost a single game here, went straight through, and they were kind of playing in a different style of meta. Caitlyn was very high prio for them. I'm not expecting CFO to be able to play Sion this entire tournament for the rest of it. But I am very curious to see if Doggo's going to be able to play things like Draven, if he's going to be able to play things like Corki, which he has been so incredible on.
As we jump into this Champion Select powered by Omen HyperX, let's see what gets through. As you say, Azir is up no longer, is it? As it is banned out on 3 here. Does mean we have things like the Wukong that have been so highly prized as a first pick jungler for teams so far at Worlds.
Yeah, it does feel like Wukong is almost always going to be that answer. And we're just going to have a Snap Aurora coming through here. So will it just be Aurora Zin? That will be my prediction. It is going to be Aurora Zin. So a lot of the OPs that are up and available just kind of being grabbed up here immediately. And Rumble also up. I would think you're going to get probably Rumble plus the mid lane answer. Yeah, wow. That's fast.
And I mean, look, both teams clearly coming in with a game plan. I think for KT, they've loved this kind of Wukong Rumble pairing when they're able to get their hands on it. I think Perfect's ultimates on the Rumble have been fantastic as well in solidifying some of these teamfight wins. So it looks like comfort already for KT. And do CFO now just round it out with an answer in the top lane, or do they want to try and solidify that AD carry for Doggo before that pinch starts to come through?
I would honestly love to see an Ornn. I feel like Ornn is a really good matchup in a Rumble. I feel like it suits Driver's playstyle, and it is going to be the Ornn. So we're going to have matched roles, fairly predictable draft, you know, through the first 3 on both sides. I think both teams really kind of playing towards their strengths. Now is where it's going to get a little bit weird, I think, because I'm curious to see if it is going to be more targeted bans towards the player rather than the meta. You know, how concerned are you about Corki? How concerned are you about things like Draven? Especially because CFO is on the red side, or will KT just go something a bit more standard and say, you know what, you're not going to bring Draven out unless there's really a great opportunity, because Doctem can absolutely play a lot of these utility marksmen very, very well, and I feel like his job should be to neutralize bot lane.
Something we have seen shine for KT as well is that Caitlyn pick. Moving it around the map in the early game, getting strong leads, and then just being able to siege really effectively. And with a Wukong, a Talia, a Rumble there to poke people out underneath the tower, even go for that all-in on a siege. I actually really like the Caitlyn as an opportunity here for KT.
Yeah, especially when you think towards what KT would like here, something that can contest on mid-wave, try and keep pressure so that then you can have this Talia operate on side lanes, and then use that strength into finding picks at areas that are nice and close quarters, enabling things like the Wukong and the Rumble, especially towards those Dragon objectives as this game goes on.
I wonder if Kaiwing's just going to go something like Alistar here. Okay, it's going to get banned, because I was going to say, you could also just go Leona. It feels like Rel is the obvious pick over on the other side, so I thought they might have tried to go, Alistar on 4 as a bit of a pre-denial. Karma would be interesting. They don't necessarily need hard engage from support because they do have it for their Ornn, whereas Peter, I feel like, they're more looking for that primary engage. This would lead me to believe that you are looking for more of a real lane counter here on 5 with Doggo, which I think fits their style, because in my mind, CFO's bot lane kind of has to go ballistic for them to win the series.
Yeah, this to me says that they want, I was about to say, they take the Karma, you want to try and have Karma Ezreal in case that Caitlyn ends up coming through and you've already got an answer, but the Corki, already a great lane neutralizer. Doggo's been fantastic on it. It makes a ton of sense, and you now get to keep that answer in that support role as to how you want to try and operate.
I really would like to see something along the lines of the Rel here. I just feel like, having that setup alongside the Rumble here, alongside the Talia, having that hard engage to be able to set up the seismic sub, set up the equalizer, I do feel like is really strong. Yes, you have the Wukong, but I feel like Wukong generally works better kind of as that secondary engage or engaging at the same time. And when you have the Ezreal, yes, you can play like Ezreal Karma and that sort of style for lane dominant, but you can also just leave that Ezreal alone and go elsewhere. And instead, it's going to be more of a neutralizing pick here. Braum obviously gets a ton of value against Ornn, so that is probably more what they're thinking about.
Yeah, it just gives you so much value into that Call of the Forge God, the Unbreakable, blocking it before it can get the knock up through your team. Alongside that, Braum is okay at following up engages. If the Wukong goes in, you're jumping with a stand beside me next to him, start to get some concussive blow stacks onto the team around him, and then you have the follow-up from the Talia and the Rumble if you want it. CFO now looking towards their support. That counter pick for Kaiwing, it's the Nami. So before this year, if Kaiwing had ever played Nami, I would have said, nah, man, that's a loss. It's a free L. But from this year on, he has actually really leveled up his game on these enchanters.
Yeah, it does mean, though, for CFO operating in team fights, they really need to be careful on how they use these like double ultimates on the Ornn and the Nami, because Braum can get a ton of value on them in team fights, and especially when I'm looking at KT, their one-item spike is incredibly strong. Double Triforce if you want to, the Sunder Sky even for the Wukong if you want to operate on that build. There is a ton of value that you can get in and around that mark, and if CFO aren't careful about their team fights, KT can snowball off of this single item.
They absolutely can, but at the same time, Nami, obviously really strong laner here, and this is going to give them a lot of power in this 2v2. Unless you have Cuz getting down there in the bot lane, then I don't think the Nami should really be that scared of this matchup, and we've seen how aggressively Doggo likes to play, with this Corki. He's like frontlining on Corki.
It's insane.
He's playing in your face. He's daring you to engage on him, where he can then, cleanse, flash, Valk, etc. out and punish people who are going in. And with the Nami, being able to buff you up, that is going to be even more powerful. So excited to see what kind of an advantage they can actually build here.
Have our eyes down towards that bottom side. Doggo, the real breakout star of the tournament. He's been impressive from time to time in the past, especially MSI when he subbed in for RNG. I think a lot of people started to realize who he was as a player, but at this tournament, so far, one of the best AD carries we've seen.
And it's not the first time we've talked about him like this. Right the way back when he was on Beyond Gaming, it was Doggo that made a name for himself at these international tournaments, so much so he got picked up by Billy Gaming, ended up moving across then towards Ultimate Prime, and it was just across the board. Doggo was fantastic. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to find that success in the LPL. But hang on a second, as maybe in trouble here as we move through.
Yeah, a bit of invade coming out from KT. Doggo will be forced away. Credit volley from BDD means that Doggo doesn't have to be worried about something like a seismic shove. The Winter's Bite doesn't find its mark. No concussive blows, no slows. And in the end, CFO were able to walk away.
And this is that same bot lane that they actually used against AL. Using that Corki plus the Nami, really to a lot of success in that one. And so I'm excited to see them take some of these risks. Like, is it a risk? Yes, of course it is. Playing something like the Nami, you can get preyed on. If Wukong gets down there and you just get Q flashed by the Braum, concussive stun, you're stunned up, you can get knocked down. It's harder to play around vision, but you drafted for engage on that top side. And though you're talking about it, Rob, I like your points. Like, there's a lot of value that the Braum can get, from against this Ornn and Nami. But the other side of that is you can kind of stagger them, right? So you can throw out the Nami ult, and then if that Braum shield is used, well, guess what? Then it opens the door for that Ornn one to kind of follow up afterwards. So it's like you can kind of look at it in two different ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, even different angles is also, like, if you can get Driver coming in on a flank or something like that, I think you can set up. It's just more about making sure then that you are able to get access. Because, again, I think if you hit that one-item spike for KT, being able to put pressure. Oh, well, I was going to say if you had the Caitlyn, you could put more pressure on mid lane, but it can be difficult for you to regain access to some of these objectives if you end up losing it for KT.
Interestingly, as Kaiwing and Doggo are forced back a little bit here, Kaiwing actually not getting any pots in this lane. Just went for the support item. Going to be using that ebb and flow to heal them up through the wave. Also has that summon Airy, which does give you that little bit of extra shielding when you're buffing an ally. Docdam and Peter do have the level 2 first. They'll force Doggo and Kaiwing back underneath their tower.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky. Like I was checking, like, did he use them? Was there something that I missed? But I went back and yeah, he just didn't actually buy any potions. So you know, he's going to have a little bit more money when he does first go back to base, but the other side of that is, of course, if you're trading heavily, it can definitely be very risky.
Importantly as well, getting that Bounded Glass Mirror early on the Nami for the extra mana regeneration gives you more sustain. So I can understand the idea of, I can save a little bit of gold now. If I can get that 100 gold earlier, actually gives us much more power in the lane.
I was going to say, even if they're going for the redemption build, like we've seen every support essentially just trying to cheat. How much gold can I put in towards that item, right? Like
it's Sensor all over
exactly,
again,
yeah. And like we're going for the free boots now. Yeah. We don't even care about roaming because that gives us 300 gold that we can put in towards the redemption buy. And the whole point is, hey, we hit that first time in Atacon, and suddenly we can actually turn a big fight there thanks to that item.
So you're telling me the junglers should be leashing for the supports?
Exactly.
Level 1 blue buff Nami. That's what we're moving towards.
I mean, this Worlds has a lot of symmetry with 2017 Worlds. You know, you have T1.
Don't tell me that. That was a terrible.
It was because Bard and Sensors. We see a Scuttlecraft fight. Peter putting the Unbreakable down. It's going to get knocked up. Almost falls, but dashes away. Junja dashes in with the Audacious Charge. Manages to pick up the kill. Able to survive as well, but Docdam dashing forward for it. Honkyu's going to have to flash the wall because he's on the chase. The Wukong finds the kill in the jungle. 2-1 KT.
That's the fight that we were hoping to see in this series coming through already. Over a Scuttle Crab, everyone arrives, but it's KT who are able to get 2 off the back of this.
Yeah, and Docdam walks away with double buffs on the Ezreal here. We talked about, you know, how you're drafting to try to get this dual lane ahead. And Docdam is going to be in such a good position now. Got the early kill, plus the assist, has double buffs, and the wave is pushing away from the Corki. So it is looking difficult. I do wonder, you know, if Driver might go towards bot, you could send Corki top, try to change things around. Peter here got very aggressive. Flashed in, Q flash straight up onto Junja. Went a bit too early, let's be honest. And so he does end up going down, but the fight still looked very good for KT. They moved over first. They really were putting so much pressure on in this fight, and Honky just couldn't really get anything going.
A question I had in my mind coming into this series is how awake are KT? It has been 12 days since they last played a game at Worlds. They have only played 4 games at Worlds so far. And I think, although it is only the first fight, we see still where they shine, that skirmishing, that team fight, working out well for KT. Although perhaps slightly odd that it's in the early game where they tend to struggle.
So Doggo is moving top. This is what I was talking about. I mean, the bot wave was absolutely screwed after that. So, you know, Docdam gets a kill. The wave is really bad for you. So it's so terrible for their 2v2 on bot side. You can see 500 plus gold lead. So Driver is basically going to sacrifice to the team. Driver's saying, you know what? I will take the terrible wave. You go top, collect this wave that is pushing in towards me. They know they need to keep Doggo into a good spot, but it is a really concerning start just because it's not just about those kills, it's about the fallout afterwards.
And that will be the Dragon, right? KT are with Cuz already on this bottom side. He just clears in towards Dragon. He's going to be able to take that one up. And you've already got an AD carry to keep that push on the bottom side. And KT stacking Dragons, playing for team fights, is going to be fantastic for the style of composition that they have.
And that wave is still frozen against Driver. So he's actually, as they go up, he's going to try to run down and fix that wave. And he will be able to get it pushed in, thankfully.
You can see Junja covering him there as well to make sure that he gets it in. Driver obviously not involved in the bot river skirmish, so does still have his flash, has his TP. But for the moment, KT in a really strong spot in this early game, about 1,000 gold ahead. First Drake at 6 minutes, stacking those up. And we talked about 1-item spikes for KT. Having this small early game lead just accelerates you towards them even quicker. And that's why I like early Dragon stacking, because you know 1-item, 2-item spikes is when you're fighting for that soul.
Yeah, and especially as you start to now reset for Cuz, you'll be able to move in towards the top side, clear that out, and then as you were just talking about, like Grub's in a minute and a half, he's going to be in a fairly good spot, hits level 6 just before that happens, and it's kind of that little bit of an early advantage that is setting you up very, very nicely for this. But Junja wants to try and get on towards perfect in this top side.
Perfect. Used the equalizer earlier on. Doggo just holding him away from the wave. It will be a 3v1.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is the wave is pushing towards perfect, so there's no pressure on him, you know? When you see those range minions stacking, yeah, it's annoying, you're going to lose a little bit, but you're getting the XP, and eventually it will collect and come to you, so you just have to play that safe, and you can see that Peter's actually going to TP top. They're just going to TP perfect down towards bot to collect that wave, so they're moving it around, they're just doing the same thing, basically, that the CFO did earlier. They're going to give Dokdam this stacked up wave to keep pushing him ahead to try to match this 2v2 when he's already on Sheen tier. He's looking like he's in a great spot.
Yeah, and also I love the defensive vision that's there for KT as well. Like, they have this ward that's just sitting over towards their Gromp, and it's been able to spot out, like, any time Hongq started to shift across, if there's some sort of dive that was there. So just already KT very aware of the type of plays that CFO like to make in these early stages to garner these leads.
For the moment, both teams willing just to accept these waves. The wave stays kind of just sitting where they are. You have a few swaps coming out. You can see Doggo. It looked like for a second perhaps he was pathing down towards bottom side, but once again just makes his way up towards top with the grubs coming up in 15 seconds. KT will have the push in mid and the push in top, so they can just play immediately for those grubs.
Yeah, the big edge is that Driver still has his TP, right? He's actually held on to that where perfect TP down towards bot side. So I do want to see CFO actually challenging at these grubs. They should play aggressively for them because you have that Ornn teleport. But Cuz has gotten here so early, he's likely to just be able to sneak one grub away. And then honestly, as KT, you don't really care what happens after that. Sure, you'd like to get more, but you definitely don't have to.
He's going to smite it to get the first one. KT can look to see if they want to take the fight because of the push up towards that top side. They will force Junja back. Weaver's Wall coming out. Seismic shove, crescent guard from Junja as he looks for the re-engage. Second grub secured there. It's CFO that get it. The fight continues as BDD looks for some damage from the side between worlds. Goes Hongq, dives onto the backline with the Cyclone. Already takes down one. Doggo so late to this battle. Kaz looking for that flash across the wall and dashes to the grubs. Call to the Forge God from Driver. Lands the knock up onto two, but he's so low. Gets another double knock. Unbreakable is not enough to stop Driver, and Hongq forcing another kill in. Dokdam starts to turn onto Doggo, flashes across the Aqua Prism. BDD still so healthy. Hongq trying to dissuade the enemy mid from getting on towards his backline. Kaz going in. Driver escapes. Doggo does too. Kaiwing does too, and somehow Hongq gets his way away. Dokdam still looking for more. Hongq dodges away, and in the end, a 1-for-1 exchange.
Yeah, 1-for-1, but the problem is they're losing a lot on that bot side here. They're losing plates, they're losing minions. It was a 5v4. Driver joined very late with the TP if he was going to actually do it, and Doggo wasn't even a part of the beginning of that fight. So even though there was technically the man advantage, the fight was very disjointed from CFO.
And a lot of that was perfect, chasing the Ornn out, so he actually couldn't TP for an incredibly long time. So you already get this focus on towards Junja, where KT able to try and play through this in this slow portion of the fight. But as this TP comes through, they've already gotten one, and honestly, a couple more of these skill shots landing, it could have been a very different story. Cuz gets out, but watch Driver here. Dokdam misses one Mystic shot there that could have actually been the kill on the Driver as he starts to step away. CFO were able to get one back. Doggo goes a bit too far here, and BDD on the back of this misses the seismic shove here that could have been another kill. So realistically, CFO lucky that they managed to get away with how this went.
Yeah, and honestly, it would have been a game ender. Like, they could have gotten all three of those kills, and then that's probably all she wrote. The game will, of course, go on, but still, it is fantastic for KT. You're down a man, you get a grub, you get plates, you create this lead on perfect, and you get the TP off of Driver, so they're going to have TP advantage here in just a minute or two, and I think KT are feeling super confident about their position in this game.
Managing to get 2 grubs out of it in the end as well means that they have that feat of objective stacking at 2 of the 3 required 4 feet of strength. Next Drake in 30 seconds. Yet to see that Trinity Force for the Ezreal. I'm sure KT will be trying to funnel as much gold into him as possible to get him there before the next Drake fight, but there's a Triforce on Cuz, and on the other side, it's still mostly components apart from a Sundered Sky for Junja.
It's also, do you really want to contest this if you're CFO? Flashless on your Corki, you have that Triforce now complete onto Cuz, and you've got push on bottom lane. I feel like this is really difficult to contest, where KT can focus down some of your key carries, and Driver doesn't have that teleport.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question, right? Feats will also go over if you lose it, right? And losing Feats this early also feels really rough. But I agree, KT definitely has the better positioning. They have push on bot, they have push on mid. They're there first, you know, with the vision setup. Junja is around, so CFO are absolutely considering it, but it's going to be so tough to work your way in.
Basically no flashes on either side as well. There's 3 available in the game. Perfect, Peter, and Junja, and Hongq. As the Drake taken by Cuz. And CFO, I mean, it's spectator sport at the moment as the flash comes in with the Winter's Bite. Junja with a Crescent Guard, but look at the damage coming out from KT right now. They'll find 2 Ginger Force low. CFO trying to respond, but Doggo and Kaiwing are forced away.
KT looking confident in these early skirmishes. Peter once again with the aggressive flash to set up KT for a boatload of gold off the back.
I mean, it's great for KT, but this time I don't really understand CFO going for it. We talked about how the setup was so much better from KT, and if you're not even going to bring down the Ornn, then how are you going to be able to actually out-teamfight in a 4v5 with worse setup, with worse condition as far as your summoners and your carries are concerned as well? I mean, Ornn is top, he's not even moving, right? It's never really going to work out. And we can see Peter again just goes aggressive. You know, Braum obviously not a great primary engage, but both the early Scuttle fight and this fight, he's just flashing in, throwing up the Unbreakable, and even though he goes down, they're committing so much to him, but you're never going to win the fight out afterwards.
And now you have a 4-kill Wukong that is going to be devastating in these fights. And at this stage, you kind of get to snowball a lot of these leads, because when you go up towards these next few fights, that's where you can now have the advantages as you move forward.
Mandate finish now for Kaiwing. We talked about trying to rush that to get more damage out of your Corki. And from your Xin Zhao, actually, with the Tidecaller's Blessing on him, the 3 Talon Strike can do a lot of work, but right now it's such a big hole that CFO find themselves in. 1.5k behind. First item still waiting for Doggo on that Corki.
I mean, Wukong is just going to be such a problem. When Wukong gets this accelerated, all of a sudden you don't really need a lot of help to be able to threaten the backline carries. Equalizer plus Wukong is going to be more than enough to mean that Doggo and Hongq basically can't play, right? You just drop it on their head, you fly in, and they're going to have to get out of there, if not just outright die. Not to even mention, True Shot Barrage can come in over the top. There's so many extra tools that could be there, but they just don't even need it when Wukong's this fed.
And I think, honestly, KT came into this with a very good game plan of, hey, we understand CFO like to go for these aggressive plays towards side lanes in the early stages to get their jungler ahead and try and play through that, but with KT, they came in, they attacked bot lane, stopped Doggo from getting the lead, then they had defensive wards on that top side to prevent any sort of plays towards Perfect, and now you're in a position with these early skirmishes working out fantastically for KT off of these early spikes we were talking about.
Absolutely, and I just feel like CFO, you know, it's been less about the play in the skirmishes and more about the play prior to the skirmishes, right? They're skipping steps, they're not always having the proper setup. Even when they had the TP advantage, they weren't able to utilize it whatsoever, and when they didn't, and they shouldn't even be trying, you know, they're going in anyway. So it just feels like they're trying to force it, and Hongq's in trouble.
Either using the Ghost, TP comes out, and because of that, KT will disengage. They get the summoner out of drive, and that's all they're really looking for. Now you can see the pings going on Rifto, and it's like, okay, we can have a man advantage on the top side. Driver has to stay bot. We reset Perfect down towards this bottom side, and then we can go for that Herald. Still a long time before anything on the bot side spawns. 2 minutes on the next Drake and 5 on the Archon as Kaiwing's chunked out by Docdamp. And in the end, he will just dash across that wall.
And look at the map. No one was even moving towards topside, so that's, you know, more minions that are going to be falling here. Now Hongq will get back, will TP up there, so they're going to be able to fix those wave states. But KT really happy to just take these slight advantages. Peter now has the redemption complete. You can see Blackfire Torch done there for BDD. So all of these major spikes have now come in for KT.
And you can see the consequences of Driver TPing for the save. He now has to walk up. Actually looks like we're going to have Perfect moving up here as well. I wonder if they did just want to have him push out that bot lane wave, but CFO forcing the tempo, forcing the play means that KT want to answer without using that TP. Cuz dashing in onto Driver. Hongq and BDD fighting up towards the top side.
I love this call from CFO. Sack a wave and just get yourself in river. If KT can hold these choke points, that's where they're most scary, but same goes for CFO with the combo of this Ornn and Nami wave.
Docdump's just so strong right now, it feels like. Has double buffs once again, and is going to be set up very well. Doggo looks like he's heading down towards bot side, so I think CFO will be potentially getting him that blue buff, it looks like, and we'll see if they want to try to challenge, because Perfect is just kind of pushing once again. He's just pushing on that bot side, has the TP advantage. If no one's going to answer, they're just going to get the tower.
And I think that's where CFO needed to pull the trigger faster. Now it's Driver who might get caught.
A little bit, uses the Bella's Breath, gets the knock up onto the Braum. Acroprism coming across, Unbreakable down, Doggo Valkyrieing in as Driver's forced to flash away, and KT with a TP are going to have a 5v5 in a second. Tidal Wave out, casting that second Cyclone lands it. Doggo caught out first, the equalizer on the backline. Nami has to flash away, BDD finds him. with an unraveled Earth through Hongju, trying to get in to the backline to get damage on Peter. He'll find one, but he's burnt where he stand. Roast rabbit for dinner for Perfect as KT once again come out on top in the fight.
Yeah, KT come out on top again. This time CFO tried to really punish Peter there, but as he got bubbled, he throws up the wall. Doggo valks in, and they immediately turn to punish him. Peter throws down the ult, that forced out the flash, and then everyone from KT just piled in on Doggo. They knew it was all about the Corki in that fight. BDD has a great ult to follow it up, and we can just watch it one more time. He's just really wanting it a bit too much. It's not the right target to valk in on.
No, not at all. As you say, the Unbreakable goes up, and it's all sad times for Doggo. Immediately has to try and flash away, and everything is burned to try and keep Cuz at bay. So as BDD comes in, and that great ultimate again from Perfect just keeps CFO at bay. There's a few extra kills picked up on the back of it, but again, CFO are just struggling to find that success against KT, and now we move towards the Dragon.
Hongju gets himself a little bit of gold. Now 4 and 3 on this Aurora. Has the Neandries and a needlessly large rod, but no ultimate right now as KT are going to fight around this Drake. It's a bit of a flank from BDD. The Weaver's Wall could split the team. Ginger looking for the poke, Driver going in. Bellows breath popped. The poke from CFO landing a little bit more. Hongju, though, gets the weirding onto Perfect. BDD on that flank position, coming in through the bot side. The knockback with the blast cone pushes Hongju into the face of BDD. The Drake down to 1,000, secured by Ginger. Goes in with the Crescent Guard, heals up with the Sundered Sky, flashes away and somehow survives. Driver knocked back with the seismic shove. He'll pay for it with his life. The equalizer on the backline, though, is going to find another Peter looking for more with the Winter's Bite. And the stun on Hongju allows Duckdam to get his second.
The ultimate cooldown was up ever so slightly faster for CFO, but as KT's tick down, CFO fall down with them.
Yeah, I mean, KT, I think, just slow played that so well because they were barely missing the ultimates from Perfect and Cuz. So they didn't want to hard commit to a fight prior to that. A great smite steal from Junja does save that from being a complete
disaster. Just going to chase under the tower. Doggo falls first, the turret falling low. Duckdam was taken out by the tower with Doggo's assistance, but KT in the end do find the kill. TP coming in as Driver looks for a flank position here. Does have the call of the Forge God, but isn't going to use it, doesn't know where they are.
There's no one home. CFO are trying desperately to make these plays happen, but they just cannot find the moments that they need. Committing to Dragon, sure they get the steal, but losing so much again off the back of it.
Yeah, maybe we can see it one more time. And we can see, look at the ultimate cooldowns here at the bottom of your screen there for KT. This is why they are playing it slow. They want to keep them interested. They want to keep them round. Junja goes in, lands a great smite, but they know Perfect is about to have his equalizer back up. He had a fantastic ult across the entire CFO team as they're retreating. And then Cuz, his Cyclone is coming back up just about now, so they know they can continue to push forward.
I've been really impressed with Perfect's Rumble ult usage throughout this tournament. He's been spectacular on it, and we're seeing it throughout this game as well. He's been catching several people out with that, even finishing off Junja at the end. And now KT, it feels like you kind of just get to dot your I's and cross your T's. Like, keep BDD in a side lane, keep up that pressure. They're going to take Riptide off the back of this, and it looks like for CFO, they're going to try and overload this bottom side of the map. Perfect can probably just, yeah, I think the wave's gone, so it's just a nothing burger.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough because, I mean, the bright side obviously is that Seoul isn't right around the corner. They've delayed a little bit. You can hope to maybe try to find some picks. But the downside is they don't really have a lot of ways to create explosive engages, to create that action. As long as Peter is the one face checking, you're never going to really get a winning fight if he has people behind him. It just takes too much of their damage to be able to actually knock down this Braum.
You also just don't have the range.
Yeah.
Like, you've got a Tidal Wave and a Call of the Forge God and an Unbreakable on the other side, which is going to eat up those very easily for KT.
I think if there is a team that won't give up, though, it is CFO.
Yeah.
We've seen it every single time that they've fallen behind. They will keep fighting. They will keep fishing for picks. So if KT start to get lax for a moment, that's where CFO can try and find these picks. Now, it's not easy, but definitely this is a team that will find them, but I think they're getting caught.
Man, this frontline Braum, I'm loving it. Glacial Fisher onto 2. The oysters are falling as KT collapse. Driver stunned up, put another pearl on the necklace. KT as 2 more oysters fall.
And Peter just blast cones himself in there. He's saying, we don't have a gauge. We don't have a gauge. Are you seeing this gauge? Peter is just flashing in on CD. And this time doesn't have the flash, but he has got no problems at all. My man knows his role. They are snowballing. He's just going to throw himself in your face. And if you don't respond, you're just going to get wiped.
This was the first time Peter got to fly to the country, and he was like, what if I do that in-game as well? It would be perfect. And it has been absolutely fantastic. KT, this pick, brilliant. Peter sends himself on in, and CFO are like, wait, what the hell is a Braum doing here?
Yeah, Peter is just making action happen. Every fight is a good one for the team if you've got them behind you. He's able to force it. They get those kills. They take Otacon, and they are just pushing this advantage further and further ahead. I agree. CFO is going to keep fighting it out. They're not a team to just bleed out slowly, but it does feel like this next fight could be the death knell.
They're also a team where one game isn't indicative of how the series will go. Very true. Right, CFO, even against AL, we saw them losing, but still fighting back. The question is, will they get the Scion? Will they be able to find ways to fight back against KT? Because a lot of it can be defined in draft for them, where the rest will come in instead of driver as well.
I mean, it was also true against FlyQuest, right? Yeah. FlyQuest was at Soul Point, was up 3 or 4K in that first game against them, and they just kept fighting. And yeah, it did take a mistake from the other team, but they were able to capitalize on that, pull the game back. So they have to keep looking for these plays. You're hoping for a hero moment. Honkyu has been the only one that's been really even close in gold, it feels like, for a long time. So maybe if he can find that dream flank, you know, if Peter goes too far ahead of the rest of the team and he can get the back line, maybe you can find some sort of an angle. But it feels so hard because they have no vision. And, you know, when you're looking at the map, like, that is terrifying. You know, when you're saying, okay, you need to find this dream flank, you need to find this dream pick, you don't know where anyone is.
And alongside that, even if you do, like, Ezreal just arcane shifts away. Like, you put down the between worlds, you try and dive onto the back line, and Dockdown just says, okay, I'm jumping over this wall. BDD, perhaps the target for them. It has that Leandri to a little bit of health as CFO trying to get some pressure in from Driver up towards this top side. Third Drake will go over to KT. CFO just trying to get every bit of gold they can in their pockets before the Baron spawn in 2 minutes' time.
Yeah, and KT even denying that push in the top side, even if it is with the Ornn, it's just making it very difficult for CFO to do anything on the map. And as you say, a minute and a half now until that Baron is up and available. That kind of feels like where KT will just get to blow the game open. You end up picking it up, you push in, and Doggo just able to get out of there.
Rift Herald comes down as KT look for the push in mid. Weaver's wall being used as well, and CFO just forced away from defending their own objectives, their own towers. Honkyu looking for the weirding, won't find too much more out of it as Peter's able to retreat. The tier 2 falls for KT.
Yeah, small little advantage there, but Doggo did get the Cyclone out. They did get Peter low. And the Ornn upgrades are starting to come through. Driver has his first ornament, so some small little things working in CFO's favor. They know they have some tempo because Braum is low and Wukong has no ult, so they're going to try to push up, see, you know, will KT overextend? Will they make a mistake that we can try to capitalize on? Of course, every shot is a long shot from this game state, but you've got to take your chances.
Yeah, and I think CFO have been the team that have done it the best, trying to get some vision down around the Baron. 45 seconds until that's up. Nothing too deep, though, which might have given that opportunity for some sort of flank play, but KT, they're going to continue this push. And as long as they can push these waves back, it makes it difficult now for CFO to contest on the vision points that KT are going to be able to establish.
We are getting towards 2 items for CFO. Trinity Force Manamune complete for Doggo. Honkyu has the Shadow Flame Leandris, got a Sundered Sky and the Black Cleaver for Ginger. So if they can find the backline, they will be able to get through them. You know, Driver gets tankier and tankier as the game goes on. It's hard to work your way through an Ornn, especially as an Ezreal who, although he is at 3 items, doesn't have that huge crit chance, doesn't have a huge amount of damage as they find the pick here onto Peter. Tidal wave down. Peter's going to stand beside his teammate, but Honkyu puts him in his place. CFO find the pick. TP coming out from Perfect. Honkyu looking for a little bit more. Cyclone from Cuz just to try and distract and dissuade the engage from CFO, but a great knockback onto Ginger means that Cuz goes on a rampage. Driver now on the retreat with the rest of the Oysters, but KT are not letting them escape easily. Doggo onto Dockdown! 80 for 80 and Honkyu adds another onto that receipt. It's 2 so far. Driver retreats. KT still looking for more as Cuz and BDD step forward, but do they have the damage? Do they have the gap closing to catch up with CFO?
This is exactly what we were talking about. CFO finding their moment. A pick onto Peter. It doesn't quite get them the Baron, but it does get them some much needed gold.
It does, and I mean, Doggo taking his chances there. Valk forward flashing in. Peter gets caught over the wall, and they do not hesitate whatsoever. Junjin instantly goes in. They are able to knock down Peter, and then KT is saying, okay, but we maybe can still take it in the 4v5, but look at this equalizer from Perfect. I think he's expecting that they will retreat into it, but instead it really gets nothing done. CFO doesn't know how to retreat. They're going forward.
And it works out so well because it's Doggo that you keep your eyes on here. As Duckdam goes forward, Doggo says, I'm all in as well. Flashes into the face of the Ezreal to get the kill. And that makes the difference here. There is no AD carry left to try and free fire on some of the low health CFO members.
And there's some big shutdowns as well. Honky got an 800 gold shutdown. That is going to get him the death cap. Another ornament comes through as Driver gets some more experience. That's now a couple upgraded Ornn items through here for CFO. Yes, they are still in a pretty big hole, but look at the damage from this dynamic duo, Honkyu and Doggo, making it work for the team.
And as much as Doggo has been around for a while, we've seen him at MSIs, Honkyu is the opposite. It is his rookie year. He won Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year over in the LCP. We saw him first at MSI challenging, and now here for CFO on the international stage in a quarter-final. He's not letting the nameplates say anything to him. He is playing this game with those nameplates off.
And I just love this about CFO. I mean, this is a team that has represented the LCP in every single one of the international tournaments. And now they are sitting in quarterfinals against the LCK third seed. And it has not been easy, but they may just be starting to wake up and find their picks.
And something that Chawi, their coach, really was emphasizing that he wanted young players that weren't afraid to fight. You can't give too much respect to the LPL LCK teams. Allow them to dictate the game or you will never stand a chance. You have to make them uncomfortable. You have to get in their face and try to find these opportunities. And that's what they're going to try to do, but it's 25 seconds until a potential soul here for KT.
Importantly, KT's still very much in the driver's seat in this game. 5,500 gold ahead. Medjai's complete on BDD with 12 stacks on it, alongside a Lightning Jewel for that little bit extra penetration. GA complete on Cuz, so he can get onto that backline even easier. You've got a Seekers for Perfect. Their ability to delay a fight is absolutely massive. CFO pushing through the bot side to try and get a bit of priority to get into River.
And that's the risk. If you end up losing a fight here, there's already waves knocking on your inhibitor. But KT, they start the Dragon.
Break begun by KT. CFO walking into fog of war, and war it shall be. Equalizer on the backline. Driver stepping forward. Temtate secured the soul for KT, but is the fight going in their favor? A great flame spitter from Perfect with that Seekers goes golden, but then goes pop. CFO find one. The dive in from Cards onto Driver. They'll get one in response. Junja forced away. A weirding from Honkyu, but BDD's on the flank as he looks for the damage. Can't quite find it with that threaded volley. CFO being shepherded down towards his bottom side. Junja looking for the engage. Doggo dived on, pops the barrier, but then it's put in the dirt. The dive as well from BDD. KT split the fight. Find 5 in the end.
KT wipes CFO off the map. They get the soul, and it feels like that will secure game 1. KT just too strong in these team fights.
They were cut off. They were corralled. And they were shot down. CFO, they were hoping that could be their fight, but now KT, they're not actually going to push for the inhibitors. Looks like they're looking at Baron instead.
It might not be the game-ending fight, but it was definitely the MasterCard priceless moment there as KT secured the soul. With it, they go to 9.5k ahead when they secure this Baron. But CFO, you are walking wounded, you are limping. But perhaps you can find some sort of first aid to get you back in the game.
I feel like that was the last fight, you know, the last realistic chance they had to get in, and KT just set it up so well. Look at Perfect's positioning here. He slows Junja multiple times with the Electro Harpoons, then Peter is there to keep him away. They know all we have to do is keep Junja out of the pit. They secure it. It's a great equalizer to soften them up, and even though the early moments of the fight are pretty good here from CFO, Doggo lands a great big one. They have Peter and Cuz low. BDD and Doctum, they're full health, and they know this is where they're going to succeed.
Yeah, it was that early flank from Peter putting so much threat onto Honkyu and Doggo that bought the time KT needed to work through Driver, work through that front line, and then corral them into position where they can knock them down. Towers falling now for KT, and it feels like that base is surely going to follow soon.
CFO, 5 players trying to defend this top lane at tier 3. KT with the Baron for the next 2 minutes. Continue to push in. You can see Perfect's slowly guiding a wave in that mid lane. KT would have wanted these synced up because now they have to back away. Perfect's going to start to walk his way across towards this top side, then goes back to mid. Again, the waves not quite synced as well as KT would like them, but they do have a few moments here as CFO trying to defend mid.
I mean, KT's gold lead is also kind of lying to you. Doctum's sitting on over 4,000 gold. He's not based in
He's only got
forever.
3 items.
Yeah, he hasn't bought in forever, so he's on equal items to the Corki right now.
Weaver's wall out. Tries to split the uprights and does exactly that, but CFO still able to defend again. The mid lane wave about 5 seconds away, and because of that, CFO can clear, then walk back towards mid. You see KT back away. Didn't have the time to reset after the Chem Soul fight, then took the Baron, then pushed in, didn't spend their gold, and now that Baron beginning to expire. An entire Cyrildas for Docdam alongside a BF Sword.
Yeah, not a bad buy. Full Cyrildas and a BF.
Like, you're really happy with it, but also you only have a minute left on the Baron. That's 2 waves left.
Absolutely.
You are still in prime position to win the game as KT. But there were small optimizations that could have been made over that last sequence.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, they've got a lot of the luxury items in there too, though. You can see almost 25 stacks on the Magi's. Seekers is done. You have the GA ready here for Cuz. So it does feel like they have everything, but they are running out of time on this push. We'll see. Will they try to force a dive on this next wave? Maybe just drop the equalizer to force them off the tower and crack the base.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the play. Just try and force CFO back. They don't have the Weaver's Wall quite yet to sync up with it. Maybe they want to wait for the next wave, but like that's 30 seconds and oh, here we go.
Diving from Ginger. Flash call to the forecourt from Drivers. Get the knock up. Oh, Driver, that was gorgeous, but on the back line. Perfect. And Cuz dive in with the Cyclone. They find 2 for it. CFO pulled the trigger, but KT's reaction was absolutely sublime. They'll wipe away CFO. Hongq can only stand and watch as K2 push in for the win.
Blink and you'll miss it. KT jump onto the back line and they immediately turn towards the Nexus.
Hongq, he's hopping around, but there's not really much he can do in the face of 4 from KT. Cuz gives him a love tap as the Nexus falls, and KT go 1-0 up in this quarterfinal.
It's a great start here for KT. First win on the board. 1 out of 3 down to try to make it where they've never been before, the World Semifinals.
And to do so in such a fantastic manner, controlling the early game. But I know there's 2 people who don't want to say anything about this game, and I want to toss it over to them.
The only thing I want to say right now is that I am exulting, guys. That was an amazing game on the side of KT. It's the beginning of the series, so let's see how they can take this one. And one of the questions that we had coming into today, we've talked about it, it is the early games for this team. A completely different look compared to Swiss Stage, Emily.
Yeah, and it was super, super important because I think the big hero to me was Cuz, right? Because we know Junja is such a huge part of this CFO early game, and I thought they drafted a composition that A, just does really well in these early skirmishes from level 1. You saw them looking for stuff with the Braum, but I think Cuz was the big star in securing a lot of these early objectives.
Yeah, they had some early skirmishes that they were victorious in as well, and were able to snowball that really effectively. I mean, we're starting it out with some W's here for KT.
Yeah, shout out to production, by the way, doing me dirty with this one. But so far, that's a big W on the side of KT, and we know that every second counts, and thanks to the reliable Cisco network, BDD clutches the fight yet again, closing the door on CFO.
Yeah, and the big thing is that you can tell KT wants to turn onto Doggo immediately, right? BDD's walls were so good throughout all of this. That one kind of gets him into the fight. They eliminate Doggo, and then it still looks a little dicey around the end. A lot of blinking health bars on both teams.
Yeah, I mean, since we talk so highly about when Doggo plays aggressively and makes these huge, comeback plays, we also have to criticize him when that one, he's Valking in onto a Braum and he's putting a bunch of his damage into a Braum with shield up, and then KT punish him for it. So they are even able to attack some of the strengths that CFO had, and if you make a mistake like that versus KT, they'll punish you.
They'll punish you, absolutely. And another question that we had immediately coming for this team was Cuz. Cuz, he is the roller coaster. He embodies the roller coaster for KT. And so far, up and up we go.
Yeah, as Peter would say, what, KT roaster going up? If you haven't seen that Peter interview, go watch it. It's amazing. But I want to point out his kill participation, right? And just how good his Wukong was at getting onto key priority targets through the early skirmishes, like you said, Kobe, into team fights like this. As we run through some of these fights again, he was so instrumental in specifically keeping Junja out of CFO's early game, which is just again, so important to how CFO like to play.
Yeah, and I have to say, KT in game number 1, the team is looking very well-rounded. Everybody kind of firing on all cylinders. Imagine banning 3 mid laners versus BDD and still giving him Talia, one of his best champs. He had some big seismic shoves. So KT looking pretty good.
Looking pretty good so far, taking game 1. I really want to see CFO fight back, though. We saw what Honky was capable of. Let's see what the whole team can do when they come on online here for game 2. We want to have a series here in this quarterfinals, so we'll be back right after this.
Isabella's both gets the knock-up onto the Brawl. Macroprism coming across, Unbreakable down, Doggo Valkyrieing in as Driver's forced to flash away, and KT with a TP are gonna have a 5v5 in a second. Tidal Wave out, casting that second Cyclone lands it, Doggo caught out first, the equalizer on the backline, Nami has to flash away, BDD finds him! With an unraveled Earth through Hongju, trying to get in to the backline to get damage on Peter. He'll find one, but he's burnt where he stand. Roast grab it for dinner for Perfect as KT once again come out on top in the fight.
보세요. 옆에 선수랑 맞춰서 걸을게요. 카메라 감독 지나자마자 옆에 선수랑 붙을게요.
好，稍微走近一点。对对，就是这样。
아 좋아요.
미드 선수가 좀 부탁드릴게요.
미드 가는 중. 안녕하세요, 티안의 오너입니다. 오늘 이렇게 또 8강 경기장에 왔는데 체크 잘하고 갑니다.
An update is required. Financial system updating. System updated.
We will dance to get.
The future of money is here. Feels good.
Red Bull gives you wings.
So slow.
I told you I was done with basic browsers. Your setup wants Opera GX, and you're holding it back. Upgrade to the gaming browser. Download Opera GX.
The greatest players in the world are here.
They can just burn this one down. Oh my god, he'll win by 9!
You are going to see them like you've never seen them before.
Rocket Will as the Arcane Storm doing so much work, and Genji! They are just going to ace them!
누굴 만나도 이길 수 있다는 자신감 정도로만 생각하고 있습니다.
Genji, the EWC winners! Kindred locking down the Drake is now Doran. Decent position, double
Break down my walls, but I won't rise again. Cause I stand tall in my environment. How could I ever close my eyes as they silence sins? They try to take me down with their violence.
Oh, they go back in! Bishop flashes in, and down goes Knight!
Every moment of your journey, crystal clear.
Landscapes, absolutely stunning. Close-ups, sharp and full of vibe. Group shots, packed with detail. Zoom in on one face, still flawless. Colors so real, every scene, every smile, unforgettable. Oppo, Find X9 series, Hasselblad telephoto, zoom into detail.
I got this old thing and the bill from the store where I got it. Figured you could beat it with a better deal on one of these big boys.
It doesn't work that way.
Guess you're not as cool as Verizon.
Bring in your AT&T or T-Mobile bill for a better deal.
You don't know that?
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back to the wicked game. Don't you know there's a price to pay? Eye for an eye. I see our darkest dreams, 'cause they're no longer make-believe. You ain't met someone quite like me, the kill of the night. Turn if my blood is poison. Where it hurts, I don't feel the same. Painting pictures of a broken vibe. Where a part of you had stayed alive. All I do is run, All I do is run,
大家好，我是 LMS 的老观众，也是 LCP 的主播 JR。10年前的8强开启了我的电竞梦。虽然说曾经跌倒过，但我们始终相信着自己的赛事。S5 世界赛的主题曲是这样唱 ：We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies。CFO 10年之后再度照亮我们的天空，而现在正是创造新纪录的时刻。CFO 加油 ！CFO 可以。
Great to hear there from JR from the LCP broadcast. Obviously worked closely with Chori as well, who only left that broadcast this year to become coach of CFO as part of the team that is igniting the darkest skies.
Why haven't you started coach yet?
We
don't love your region as much as Chawi?
No,
is that what it is? You hate G2?
Really quickly, our team makes quarterfinals, so maybe you should become a coach next year.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, we're going to get into draft for Game 2 of the series really
That's
quickly.
bullying when you say it. It's fun when I say it.
Can't punch down, you know?
CFO have elected to move over to the blue side, and is Rest subbing in the top lane for them. He's seen as the more creative of the two top laners, Driver kind of the workhorse who works really hard, whereas Rest is seen as weird, wacky, loves to be boisterous, and I wonder if we'll see CFO trying to bring something a little bit more eclectic out in the top lane.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they can bring out. I think KT have very often looked at this Rumble as kind of like the pick over the course of the tournament in that top side. So now that that's taken away, I'll be very curious to see what their new plans are going in towards that top side of the map.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so far he's played, you know, the Rumble, which is gone, the Scion, which I think is going to remain banned, and then it's been, you know, Renekton and Rek'Sai, right? So I do think we're probably going to get something pretty standard from him. It'll be interesting to see if he wants to kind of, you know, go outside of that and get a bit more creative. I feel like if they wanted him to get funky, though, they would have gone red side, right? So I think that we are just going to get more standard stuff. Ori and Azir both up here, so either we're going to get a trade or we're going to have them potentially getting banned outright here. And we'll see, you know, that's going to be the kind of key to me, because that really does dictate the first couple picks. And instead it's going to be Ambessa.
Oh, Scion is also up. So if you ban away the Scion, then you then look towards the Ori Azir trade for CFO.
I just kind of saw that as like a guarantee. Yeah. Because to me, that it's like, if you don't ban Scion here, then CFO just went out, because you just pair Ori or Azir with the Scion and you're laughing.
Yeah, because you also got the opportunity to take the Trundle though as well. So what I'm kind of curious is, do you end up like first picking Trundle, thinking, oh, we deny the Scion on the opposite side. We're happy to take either the Ori or the Azir in the next one, but there's the Scion, so it doesn't really matter. I think still, Azir for me has been the more impactful one in a lot of these situations, but we'll have to see if that's what CFO are thinking as well, and it looks like they will be.
Let's see that Azir likely locked in for Hongkyu. Let's see, he has put it out already once this tournament. KT, you just go Orianna plus something from the jungle that can engage. Jarvan, something that, although it started the tournament really poorly, has begun to win quite a few of his games. I think he was on a 6-game winning spree going into the quarterfinals. So there's the Azir. KT can also leave the Orianna for 3.
Dive-orientated pick. And again, I think Duckdam trying to take something like the Kai'Sa here to facilitate a lot of that dive is going to work out really well for KT.
I also just really love KT making sure BDD and Cuz have good champions, because so often they are the drivers of this team. They are the engine room of this team, and everyone else has stepped up. But when you're looking at CFO, you look at Hongkyu and Junja in the sort of same vein. They're the people that need to get ahead for CFO to have a huge amount of impact. So if you can get Cuz and BDD on picks that are strong, that have good early games, you know you can kind of negate some of CFO's power.
This is kind of interesting. So they are going to go for the Trundle. Obviously, you can do it pretty well, you know, against this Jarvan. So they're taking the Trundle and the Cassante here.
It feels like a Rek'Sai angle, no?
Yeah, I guess maybe that's kind of the anticipation, is they're saying you're going to go Rek'Sai and Trundle's going to get value because you are kind of having an HP stacker on the top side.
I think it also pinches what KT can do here, because ideally you would like to go for some sort of AD carry like the Kai'Sa, right? But with Ezreal, Corki, now you're going to see probably things like the Caitlyn and the Kai'Sa band, maybe even something like the Xayah. It just means that then you don't really have that safe backline at the moment. That could open up for things like the Cassante to get a lot of value, Trundle Pillars to get a value, even the Azir shuffle to get a lot of value. So I think that's where CFO are looking at going, okay, what's the AD carry pool going to look like with these bans?
Yeah, and I do feel like when you're banning out the Bard, you are saying, hey, I want to play like a low mobility AD carry, you know, over on this side. Ori's also something that can be quite susceptible to that Bard, so are trying to protect some of these carries. And Nico will remain on the bans in this second round. And they're going to be targeting Doggo's Draven, which I do think makes sense. To me, the Corki and the Draven were the two picks that really have stood out for him so far here at Worlds. So they are going to try to eliminate his carry threat a little bit.
And Nico taken away by CFO, so they're trying to get rid of some of those big AoE engages to follow up with the Orianna and the Jarvan.
I am slightly surprised, because I think when you have Azir, Alistar still up on the board as well, I think you've got options to try and play in towards the Nico without her having like that full big threat. But obviously just nervous about it. There's the Varus gone as well. So Kai'Sa is still up and available if you want to try and play for this very high dive threat on KT's side.
Also, honestly, like you saw what Peter could do on a Braum as an engaged champion. Getting rid of something that engages a lot easier makes a lot of sense to me.
I actually like this a lot, just going Sivir here, because I feel like if you go Kai'Sa for Darkdam, then you really open up a ton of value for picks like Renata and some of these kind of like disengage style champs that can be really, really strong. You can kind of just play to focus on the solo lanes here as Cuz. Obviously great pairings with both Renekton and the Ori. And if they go Aphelios, like we could just get Aphelios Lulu and they could go kind of like a full scaling type thing if they wanted. But of course, you can just do a standard engage pairing alongside it as well.
It is Doggo's most played champion and the champion he made his name on in Beyond Gaming, but it's actually going to be the Kai'Sa that he swaps over to at the last second.
A little bit of dive can reposition in teamfights as well, which is something Kai'Sa does well. If the Jarvan jumps on you, you get some of that plasma stacks, and then you can dive across with the Killer Instinct.
And people always like to talk about this matchup as like, Kai'Sa can beat the Sivir on the 1v1, but I always kind of feel like Sivir just negates the matchup by just pushing in and
she
just
never
scaling.
takes the fight.
Exactly. So that's kind of my issue with it. And now when I look at this, I see a lot of value for the kind of picks that I was talking about over on the KT side, right? Like, I feel like Renata and Disengage would go super hard, and you already have good engage.
Lulu also sick here, honestly.
Renata,
Lulu, Sivir, really nice.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of the Kai'Sa because when you try to reposition as well in this sort of situation, you're repositioning into something like the Renekton or into the Jarvan, and the immediate shield break as well on the Renekton means I don't think you're going to get a huge amount of value from the Killer Instinct on the Kai'Sa. I would have probably preferred a bit more of a front-to-back team fighter than this Kai'Sa, but Nautilus actually going to be the pick in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of more standard. That is kind of the LCK style, even if some of these enchanters, are strong in certain situations. This does give them so much engage, so much scaling. It just feels like KT have drafted pretty much 4-5v5. They have a ton of wave clear in their soul lanes. They have a lot of options on where to go. Cuz can really attack any lane, it does feel like. And over on the other side for CFO, you do have some great scaling here with the Azir, but I'm about worried about how they're going to be able to actually play out these 5v5s. Like, if you don't have a perfect engage, I do think it gets very, very difficult for Doggo to have a lot of value while he is kind of getting zoned out. Whereas on the other side, Sivir just needs to hit anyone and kind of just ricochet through the team.
And also you have a relatively short-range composition apart from the Azir, so the Orianna value for the shockwaves kind of at an all-time high. So I really do like what KT have opted in for here, and it is going to be looking at what can CFO do to disrupt it, particularly in this early game where they struggled in game 1 to find any sort of answer.
We've already seen a 3,000 elo shockwave from BDD at this tournament against MKOI on the first day, where they were about 4k behind and he turned it on its head. KT then going undefeated so far through all 5 games they've played. 5 in a row.
How many do they have to win World Finals? Quick.
More than that.
Okay. You passed. You passed, see?
It's 13, right?
At least 6.
13, yeah. 13
At least 6. I'm with you.
We'll see if they can do it as we get our way onto the stage for game 2. It would be really interesting for KT to go, see, quickly as Cuz steps around here, for KT to go 3-0 versus Gen G, 0-3, 0-3, 13-0. That's just what a great end to your year.
Powering up.
Is that not who KT are as a being, as a whole?
The roller coaster at some point can't keep ratcheting up. There has to be a drop.
Well, it depends how you want the roller coaster to end.
In heaven.
In
the
outer space.
Paradise.
You're just going to launch off,
True.
Then there's no gravity. Then the roller coaster can do whatever it wants.
Oh, great hook from Peter as he finds Ginger, forces him to flash away. And that negates a lot of what Ginger wants to do in the early game. This Trundle really relies on getting into the enemy's face. And against the Jarvan, he can do that because he farms so much faster.
And also just counter-ganking is so effective when the Jarvan uses that EQ in, then you can try and turn around as the Trundle, but you're going to be able to get value as that as Cuz and have a flash to try and escape. So it does open up Cuz, at least for the next 5 minutes, to try and make some early plays. But realistically, we have seen junglers just going for these full clears consistently. So how much KT are going to be able to find success in the lanes in the early stages still waits to be seen.
And you got to take your eyes up towards that top lane, as it is going to be a lane swap up here. It is going to be Doggo moving up towards that top side to take the 1v1 against this Renekton. So it will be Rest on the Cassante, taking the 2v2 down on the bot side with Kaiwing. And the question is just kind of how much of the CS can they get? Can they keep their health high to really be able to get as much of this farm as possible?
Also just get as much experience as possible onto that Cassante. Not very easy to force him away in the early game as Hongqiu and BDG just trading here in the mid lane. Perfect. You should be okay on the Renekton. You've got the Cold and Meek to heal yourself up a little bit. You've got the Slice and Dice hits level 2. There's always the threat of a Slice Ruthless Predator Jarvan gank.
Yeah, there really is, and I do think, BDD in trouble.
Falling low to Hongqiu here. I'll just walk around the corner. Can't be sure where Cuz is right now as Hongqiu, so you have to just be that little bit more cautious, especially with Peter walking his way up.
He's on the way. Can Hongqiu avoid this? Peter, well, does he just want to invest the flash? BDD's so
Peter's
low!
Just gonna look for the flash hook underneath the tower, but it's not going to be enough damage from Hongqiu. Still able to flash away. Summoners exchanged between the Nort and the Azir.
Nice roam from Peter.
He uses the heal for him as well. Now BDD's gonna flash just to kill Kaiwing. Flash heal wasn't enough. That's really well done from KT. Hongq perhaps a little greedy staying around.
They thought they'd be able to make the play with Kaiwing matching the roam, but a little bit too late. And BDD with the first blood.
Yeah, I want to see, did Kaiwing's heal actually hit on Hongq, or was it just a little bit too late?
Yeah, too late.
I thought it was too late watching it live there, which is definitely tough. Peter already having a big impact, forcing out the flash on the Trundle very early, and now Kaiwing trying to do what he can, hold this wave, so Hongq cannot get too far behind.
Oh, Cuz flash. Oh, flag and drag from Cuz just wide. A hook lands onto a minion, and Peter unable to find his connection there.
And Hongq held onto his TP because Kaiwing was freezing the wave. He didn't actually have to TP back, so that is nice for him. But look over on the other side. It's upgraded tier 2 boots. Hongq just got a dagger and no pots. So even just that little bit of damage is that much closer to sending him back to base once again. This pressure that Peter put on is so effective.
Now Rest with the wave pushing away from him, getting forced out of this bot lane. A couple of minions will die to the tower, but KT should be able to catch them. Pillar down, slice away from Perfect. Easy enough escape for the Croc.
It was always going to be a tough work to try and make that happen on the top side. So either way, though, as you say, KT in a great spot. Now Rest.
Got the Pathmaker, should be able to get his way out. But I think this is the game that we really begin to see BDD living up to that idol status he talked about in the teaser for the video.
I mean, that's tough. You know, thankfully, like I said, he was able to hold on to TP because Kaiwing froze, so he's going to go back, but his buy is going to be terrible, right? Like maybe he's just going to get a refillable in a ward or something. I don't think he's going to have too much gold. So he's going to be able to upgrade the dagger, but does he even have potions on top? Is he really going back with no potions again? Yeah, okay.
Just gets himself a recurve boat.
And BDD should be able to match the reset here as well with it being a cannon wave. Hongq trying to freeze because damn sure he doesn't want that to happen.
You can't do that. Like, you can't just be tanking the minions.
The wave is so far away as well. Even the shield from the Azir E isn't going to be enough, and the wave will crash in. BDD on his way back out with an amplifying tome alongside those Ionian boots of lucidity for the extra CDR. And right now, KT's early game, this series actually has really leveled up from where it's been so far. Peter, Hex splashing onto Rest, looking for the auto attack here. We'll get the dredge line in as the Pathmaker out from Rest again gets him to safety. Really nice buffer there. You buffer the auto and then you dredge line in the middle of it to cancel the animation.
But you're just going to continue to get this wave frozen on you, so Rest's going to have to reset, and I think at this stage, CFO have to accept they're going to match towards standard lanes if they hope to have a chance, because this Croc in the top side has frozen the wave, now gets the TP back in, and KT again dominating through this lane phase.
Exactly. I mean, it's double frozen waves. Both your side lanes are frozen against you. You have to TP just to try to push it out, and your mid lane is kind of getting crushed right now after that early pressure, so it's triple losing lanes for CFO.
I usually like my oysters on ice, but this is not what I like for CFO right now. KT off to a strong early start here in Game 2.
And it's a bit of the flash freeze as well, because Junja, having burnt that flash earlier, means that he's not really able to get involved in the lanes for fear that Cuz ends up matching. So across the board, again, KT doing so well off that early pressure, and now you start to look at, well, Dragon's up and available. We start to look at the rotations.
Good hook onto Doggo. Grand entrance coming out from Kaiwing. Battle Dance for a little bit of shielding. It's if you want to get the drop on your opponents like Peter just got the drop on CFO, remember, log into your Riot account on LoLesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, and capsules whenever you can.
Because looking to style on CFO on this bottom side here, already forcing CFO back. TP coming through from Peter to make sure he can get down here. And I think they just go for the Dragon. They've got the push in that bottom lane. BDD in a great spot in mid. They don't need much more.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking like they're in an incredible spot. Judge is moving down to this side of the map. I don't think it's going to be a contest. He's just going to have to probably give it up. Is moving over there, though. I feel like this would be such a tough approach for the Trundle. I mean, Peter's already in position to try to jump on him.
Doctam just hit 6 as well. Dredge line in from Peter. Junja here, look and see if he can find a pillar, but you don't really want to take this fight. You're at a disadvantage in terms of ultimates, and KT will just secure their first Drake again, around that 7-minute mark. It's really early from there.
And that's what I was going to say, is you're kind of happy if you're a CFO that you didn't end up giving a bunch of kills away like you did in game number 1. So CFO able to back away, hoping that they can find those fights later on. And you do have things like the Azir and the K'Sante, which will scale very well into the game. But at the moment, they just don't have ways to break this control KT have.
I think Peter has just played an excellent game, right? He's starting right from the level 1. Even his positioning here around that dragon, playing in the banana brush, not allowing Junja to ever find an opportunity to contest here realistically, and just going to continue playing towards his strength. He knows you're going to win the 2v2s with BDD, so just keep moving here, keep enabling BDD to play from this position of power. Look at Hongq, he's just, every time he steps forward, it's command attack, it's dissonance, it's just chunk after chunk after chunk onto Hongq that is making his life miserable.
I think Peter's just had a really good series so far, really good world so far. You could see signs of it when he was on Nongshim, like there were signs of what he could become, but here on KT really has leveled up. Now in his first international, his first worlds, we're seeing exactly what this guy can do.
And what a lovable player he is. I mean, this is his first time, flying. If you haven't watched some of his interviews, do yourself a favor, go watch some. He is just a treat.
Great hook again onto Junja. Is going to put the subjugate down, flash forward from Perfect. Death charge onto Hongq as well, but Junja already put in the dirt. The Troll King is down. Rest trying to collapse, but CFO forced away. Should be 3 grubs to KT. No smite for CFO. Doggo's moving across, but actually looks like KT are happy enough just taking the 2. They'll let this grub reset. Cuz can just wait around. It's like, okay, my smite's going to come back up in a couple of seconds' time. KT will get the 3rd.
Yeah, the longer CFO contest here, the more they're losing on that bottom side. That's a wave that's completely gone, and Junja has just had 0 chance to have an impact in this game. He's been completely shut down by KT.
I mean, it's just a great start again to the fight here from KT. As CFO kind of try to do this late contest, it's similar to the problems they had in the first game, where even when you have the man advantage, they're not actually utilizing it because Junja goes so early. By the time Doggo is moving up, he's already cooked, and then you're just giving Dogtam the ability to push out the wave, deny those minions, take a reset, right back down towards bot lane, and the Sivir is just chilling throughout all of this, and you still walked away with triple grubs.
Yeah, just overall, Casey's early game really isolating the strengths of CFO and making them into weaknesses. Like Junja on this Trundle is behind on farm to a Jarvan. That's just not something you too commonly see in the early game. They haven't been able to find pressure in the lanes. The early lane swap from KT really solid as they were able to make sure that Rest and Doggo were forced behind.
I mean, it's not even 10 minutes. We're 1.6k ahead. Yep. Everyone on KT has an advantage. We'll see if Junja can try to make any sort of a gank happen. You just feel like you need to make some sort of a move, but I don't see a world in which Perfect dies here.
Dominus about to come off cooldown for that extra health on Topos. Will get the knockback. Junja looking for the flag and the pillar, in fact. He's not playing the Jarvan. He does get the pillar down with a slice and dice out from Perfect. Now has the Dominus in 1 second's time, and CFO won't look for a further dive.
I was just going to say, there's a very slim window that they were looking to play on, and now Perfect is going to be completely fine. Resets, are going to be able to open up back on that top side, and you're not getting any sort of advantages through this. KT continue to move their Jarvan up towards his top side. They can now look to support Perfect as he shows this out. It's just great stuff.
And I mean, you know that that Trundle is up on the top side, and just start looking at all the vision that they're getting, down in this bottom side area. There's so many wards that they're actually placing in the enemy jungle here. They have all the info, right? You knew that Junja was up on the top side. You go in on the bot side, you place all these wards, you have full river control as well. When you're behind, you're saying, jungler, please save me, bail me out, get a kill. But like, they know where he is. They got map packs.
Really nicely played from KT in this early game. For CFO, you do still scale. You've got an Azir. You have a Rakan there for the engage. You've got Subjugate if anyone gets too tanky later on. There's the Emperor's Divide onto BDD, who will flash after the pillar. And that is a summoner down for the KT mid.
And something that could be exploitable. 45 seconds until the Dragon. You could end up looking for him, especially with someone like Kaiwing. But there we go!
Depth charge! They get the knock-up. The quickness comes out, but it's not in time. Peter claims the kill, calling Captain Hook, because he's sending Hongq to Neverland.
And he's always there first. Kaiwing that little bit too late in saving his mid laner. And it's Peter that are making things happen for KT.
I agree. I mean, he's just being so proactive here, and now you knock the mid laner down. Kaiwing spent his ult. Cuz is behind Doggo.
Oh, Doggo, is your bark worse than your bite? It seems like it flashes away. Oh! Gets away with the Killer Instinct as well, with the TP coming out. Doggo able to survive. KT, I mean, they back away. No one goes below half HP. They'll be happy enough. They get the flash and that killer instinct out.
Yeah, I mean, it's smooth moves from Doggo to survive in the 1v3, but at the end of the day, as you say, that's teleport, that's flash, that's ult, and your defensive highlight is just staying alive while KT is going to start the dragon and say, good luck fighting us now. Your AD has nothing.
And plates in mid lane because you had to shift the Azir down to that bottom side, which means BDD is opening up this game even further in his favor with that first item already completed. It is still KT winning.
And it's feats. 12 minutes in, 3 objectives to none, 3 kills to none, and you've already got the upgraded boots coming out, the Ionian cooldown boots for BDD being upgraded. They're going to set up around this red buff. Do CFO
Don't do it,
know?
Junja.
No. Oh, Junja. He starts up the red. There's the hook, and Junja in the jungle sent to an early grave. A fourth for KT. They ruled the rift.
I mean, this is just the vision playing off of that. They have been controlling this jungle so incredibly well. And now that they have the lead, they're just snowballing it out of control.
They've got death charge here.
Exactly. He's just going to go right down. He's going to get stopped. You just flag it.
Flag comes out. Peter will have another hook. He's just standing there. He's like, what are you going to do, Hongq? Depth charge down. They'll look for the engage. A Cataclysm alongside BDD enough. It's a shellacking for KT. They're shucking these oysters everywhere on the map.
I mean, it's picture perfect, but it's an ugly picture if you're a CFO fan because KT are making Game 2 look like an absolute breeze, and it's all been around this play with BDD. Constantly going towards mid lane, getting involved with him, unlocking their player here to move around the map to really get control. BDD has been such a star for this team all year long.
Rest and Doggo looking for this flash away from perfect TP in from KT, and they just don't have the damage to work their way through that Renekton.
Great flash from Perfect, predicting that Rest was going to look for that Q slow, and maybe that gives the Kai'Sa enough time to get the auto attacks down to take down the Renekton. But again, it's CFO hoping and praying that they can make these plays work, but KT happy to match. You still get BDD pushing in that wave. No one going to be able to answer for it. You're losing out on the map. Duck down, pushing in the mid lane. It's KT getting map presence constantly.
Exactly. And I mean, when you're playing against a team like this that has that much wave clear, that much pressure, and you're behind, you have to overload one side to try to make a play, but you're always going to pay for it, right? Because Sivir is just infinitely one-shotting the waves. With Essence Reaver, BDD is going to one-shot any waves that come his way, and they have triple grubs. So you lose so much tower damage every single time you have one of these failed plays. And I mean, they did get the flash out perfect. That's nice, but they didn't even force the ult.
But it's so well orchestrated by KT. It's knock out Junja by kicking out one of the legs, then go for the lanes because Junja's then behind. And it makes it so difficult for CFO to actually answer for any of these plays because they are always at a man disadvantage.
And who is it for KT that's getting fed out of this early game? It's BDD in that mid lane. 2K ahead has been involved in every single kill. The synergy between him and Peter through this game, through this Worlds, has been absolutely top-notch. This guy is popping off, and for so long, I think people will have looked at BDD as one of the greats, but not quite. Perhaps at this Worlds, he can really take that step to the upper echelons.
Yeah, the only man on this team who's been to that semi-final, hoping to take the rest of them there, and the organization for the first time, but it's Rest who needs to get out of here.
Exhausted there for a second. Spell Shield coming out from Doc Dam, and Tofo Q3 going wide, but it's just going to be another tower for KT. They know they can force Rest away, take the turret, their second of the game, and CFO have been able to stop the perfect game from happening by taking a tower of their own. But apart from that, KT very much on their way to a clean sweep of this one.
Yeah, I mean, objective bounties have spawned. You kind of hope that you can do some cross-mapping, you know, pick up some gold to come back in. But when objective bounties are spawning at 15 minutes, you know it is going to be an uphill battle, to say the very least.
Yeah, and you already highlighted the wave clear. It's a Rift Herald now as well. So you were already losing on the map. Now you doubly lose on the map, but Perfect might lose this.
Killer coming out. There's a Killer Instinct as well with the quickness, everything invested. Perfect falls the shutdown to Doggo. A pick for CFO and a small breath of life into this game.
Imperfect. Not going to be able to get away with that one. We'll see what they can get off the back of it here. Heading down towards this bot side, seeing if they can make a play or at the very least control some vision. They have swept out all of the kind of vision past that line of scrimmage, you know, in the mid lane and through that river. So there's no more vision in their jungle. They really are hoping to not give up a super early soul point. when you're this kind of a dive comp, you know, yes, there is an Azir, yes, you have some damage there, but you really do not want to be giving over a Mountain Soul.
They did get the pick, but Junja went to do his Krugs, and you don't really get that push in mid because both Hongq and Kaiwing went to try and set up that vision on the bottom side. So now it's KT who are able to answer back because of that reset.
It's the same setup again. Rest is on his way across on the hunt, popped by Dogdem as they look for the chase. Depth charge onto Hongq, Emperor's Divide, dodged by the Cataclysm. Hongq not in the redemption in time. CFO lose their mid laner and now might lose the rest as they get chased down by KT. Junja on the flank, a 4v4 begins to erupt. It's Perfect not TPing down yet. The redemption for KT will top them up, and in the end they just back away.
CFO are asking, why are KT better? And it's just cause the hop over the Emperor's Divide sets up beautifully. And now, with the dragon there for them as well, that's 3 dragons to their name.
I mean, that was beautiful from Cuz. Walks in, and he's basically daring you to dash away, right? He's holding the Cataclysm, he's holding the Flag and Drag. He's ready to punish at a moment's notice. Perfect reaction time there to immune that Azir ultimate. They win out in the 4v4. Perfect doesn't have to even bother teleporting down. They get the dragon there at Soul Point, 18 minutes into the game. They have really accelerated the game to a ridiculous degree. When you look at a composition like this, that's Orianna Sivir, you're thinking, all right, they're going to play it slow, they're going to play it measured, but they've just been dominating. They realize their position in the game, so they're going to keep their foot on the gas and just continue to press.
Just keep that pressure up. CFO looking for those objective bounties you talked about as they're trying to find any gold they can on the map. Doggo is at 2 items for going the upgraded boots. Instead, it just has those slightly magical footwear. The only player with a gold lead for CFO. And if you're going to put a gold lead on anyone, Doggo, so far this tournament's been the guy you want to put it on. Constantly impressing, but it's going to be a very long road back for CFO in this game.
You hope that they can find those moments, though. Again, like, this is the heart and soul of a region, a team that has defied expectations and made a name for themselves. And although they haven't been able to show what they're capable of in this series thus far, I think CFO have really shown that they are a team that you need to keep your eyes on at Worlds 2025 and honestly at MSIs as well. Like, this is a roster that has continued to impress on an international stage.
Yeah, I mean, some of the teams that weren't giving them respect have already been sent home. Peter's looking for another play.
Depth charge down onto Junja. The pillar does not really going to stop anyone getting in, but a good quickness out from Kaiwing distracts the rest of KT. Kaiwing trying to dash back, but he's taken out by Dogdam. 1 down so far. KT can advance. Oh, a great hook again! Peter, what are you? He constantly finds the picks, and now CFO picked apart by this Perfect Nautilus. Perfect diving in for a Ruthless Predator. The Rift-Held charge coming down. Will they look for a tier 3? Cuz begins to disengage, but they'll just get the charge in, and then Peter should be able to dredge line his way away.
And they can even go right back to the Otacon that's about to spawn here if they really want to put that pressure on. They're going to take away the jungle camps. They get the charge on another tower. It's 6k up, and yeah, they're just going to do Otacon on spawn again, because why not? Hongq has no teleport, and he's still dead.
He goes for it again. Rest steps in front of the bullet for Doggo. They're not back onto Peter, though, now slammed into the wall, and the rest of KT unable to respond in time. Doggo diving onto the backline, and killer instinct flashes the barrier! Doggo gets the shutdown! Cuz Perfect and BDD still alive. Not much mana on BDD, though. They'll still be able to kill off Kaiwing. Hongq and Junja need to do it all. But Hongq doesn't have the damage, only an Ashes and a Faded Ashes at his back. KT back away.
Again, Doggo risked it all for CFO, but it falls short. KT are able to continue keeping that pressure up in the fight, and it's CFO who have to back away.
I mean, Doggo is able to find a pretty good play here. You know, again, your opportunities are going to be few and far between, and this hook gets blocked there by Rest, so they say, you know what, we have to try to take advantage of the moment. It's another shutdown, and then Doggo just goes so aggressive, flashing to the side there to try to avoid some of the damage from BDD. Does get a second shutdown for himself, but the problem is BDD is 3,000 gold ahead, and he is still alive, still fighting there. So even with Dogdam falling, I mean, just look at the mid-jungle advantage. It's ridiculous.
4.9k between the two. The Otacon has been begun by KT. CFO still looking for it. They have the Emperor's Divide if they can find a way into this fight, but Hongq goes in, BDD pops a stopwatch, Otacon secured, Kaiwing with a good quickness finds 2 with a knock-up, but CFO now need to disengage. All their engage tools have been used. Cuz diving onto that backline. Cuz taken out by Doggo. Perfect looking for it as well. But this dog who let him out, Perfect, shows him where the cage is at. Puts him back to the fountain. Only Hongq left alive. As Perfect, BDD, Dogdam and Peter collapsed It's an ace for KT.
There's nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. KT are taking everything on this map. And CFO, they look confused. They look like they don't know how they're supposed to crack this.
I mean, I don't think you're cracking this game, man. It is an absolute stomp here as KT, again, know they're just at such an advantageous position. Perfect just go straight in on the Nautilus. On the other side, you know, it's Hongq and Kaiwing trying to find this flanking angle, but they use the redemption for the reset and then just send Cuz in. A great stun and bit of CC there to allow Doggo to finish him off, but Perfect is just too strong. No one's there to actually peel for Doggo. And again, there's just too many threats on the KT side. They're too rich.
Yeah, no killer instinct for Doggo as well to try and escape away, so gets caught by the Croc. And it's his swamp right now. KT, the Dragon is up in 20 seconds. This is Mountain Soul, and it's already been impossible for CFO to break KT.
I mean, this is going to be the last gasp you have to kind of think for CFO. It's win this fight. It's stop this Soul from going over, or you are cooked. But KT is ready. You know, they already have so much power here. Red buff and blue buff just got picked up, and they are going to be waiting for CFO to go forward.
Almost an infinity edge for Doc Dump. Doggo the only one really with 2 items that matter for CFO as they try and step into the darkness, into that fog of war. The Dragon resets, Rest using his health bar to try and gain purchase in the river right now, but KT keeping them at arm's length. Rest still stepping forward. The Drake how low, 7k. Kaiwing flashes for BDD, lands the quickness and the ground entrance, but with a flash away from BDD, Perfect dives in, and the chase goes in from Cuz. Cataclysm onto the backline, the Emperor survived from Hongq. Everyone from KT falling below half HP, but then now with the redemption, they are topped up to full. For a moment, CFO looked like they may have found the fight, but the wallets are too damn heavy. KT find a 5-0 ace and will walk it down mid.
Yeah, CFO posed the question, but BDD had the answer as he has every single time this game. 100% KP for BDD, 6-0 and 15 on the Orianna as they're looking for one of the fastest games at Worlds.
Sub 25 minute, the prize for them. This roller coaster keeps on ratcheting up. KT in dominant fashion are gonna make it 2-0. The scoreline looks at BDD, but the hearts were won by Peter. KT 1 game away from the promised land.
Again, control from start to finish. Desk, is there an answer available?
They look excited up there.
They do.
I heard you, and I'm right above you, so
We're turning around and glaring at them right now.
I will not hesitate to jump on those casters, guys, so beware. KT roster is 1 game away from reaching the very first semifinals in the history of the organization. And I think about this roster, Emily, at the beginning of the year, the hope, the struggles that they went through. Is it so far the best result that they have? And they're about to do it 1 game away once again from this result.
And what a debut for Peter. Like, what an international debut for Peter, right? Because he was actually replaced earlier this year for a time, came back onto the roster, and he's been massive in these early game plans. I know they're calling out BDD was obviously kind of the star of their team fights throughout this, but it was Peter's Nautilus from level 1 setting up this KT early game. Absolutely great game from him.
He has been ramping up all here, but he's clearly attained his final form here at Worlds in our HyperX Reflex replay, Kobe.
I mean, this game was not close. So let's go back, as you say in our replay, to a time when it was close. You know, at the very beginning of the game. This is before the 7 deaths that ended up happening to Hongq. The very first is opened up from Peter's roam from bottom lane, the level 2 roam. Because Hongq is trading so aggressively with BDD, they make the call. Peter, invest and just go for the hook. You trade flashes with Hongq. Then Hongq, he actually has confidence. He steps back up. So the heal move speed, he dodges a second hook. He emotes because he's just thinking about the Peter danger, and he wasn't thinking about, oh, I have no flash and BDD does. So Peter just takes away all the cooldowns from the Azir first, and then BDD can come in and get that first blood, which you know turned into many more bloods.
Yeah, that set up BDD for his 100% co-participation. As we're just going to roll through through and see this great Peter highlight reel because his hooks were so clutch. Before that mid lane play that we just went over, Kobe, he'd already helped through the Nautilus level 1 blow Junja's flash. So once again, Junja could not be as aggressive as he would have wanted to be in this early game, right? And the thing I really love, as we still see Peter kind of beasting it on this Nautilus, is that KT in both Game 1 and Game 2 have come in with clear early game plans, right? Like, we're highlighting Peter's Nautilus here because he was so huge in resetting that lane for BDD, really getting BDD ahead. But the fact that KT have come in now with these 2 drafts, have really wanted to take over the early game is a great sign based on what we've seen from this team previously in Split 3.
And that's a crucial point here. We were expecting KT to get better at those stages of the game, but on the other side, for CFO, they had a fantastic year. They kept on surprising. The world stage is the moment teams make or break, and right now, Kobe, it looks like it's going to be complicated for them. Do you see a comeback potential?
No, I don't. You talk about breaking. That game was not close in any sense of the word. They have to completely do everything different from that game. You have to try and at least get one winning lane. You have to play better in skirmishes, better in team fights, because KT just absolutely blasted them. They're making this look like a very unfair quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is they need to get Junja involved early, right? Like, Junja is such an engine for this team. He's the best jungler in the LCP. He has this consistent titles record, right, over there. So I think for me, it's all about, can Junja get involved, get some pushing lanes, like you said, and move CFO forward?
This has been the most one-sided series that I did not expect, honestly, to see here today. KT roster 1 game away from doing the very first semifinal in the history of the organization. Let's see if they can take it right after the break.
Q goes in, BDD pops a stopwatch, Anagon secured, Kaiwing with a good quickness finds 2 with a knock-up, but CFO now need to disengage. All their engage tools have been used. Cuz diving onto that backline. Cuz taken out by Doggo. Perfect looking for it as well. But this dog who let him out, Perfect, shows him where the cage is at. Puts him back to the fountain. Only Honkyu left alive. As Perfect, BDD, Knockdown and Peter collapsed. It's an ace for KT.
There's nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. KT are taking everything.
When I was a player, if I was to like make a misplay, maybe it's my mouse, maybe it's my armrest, something feels wrong. If you were at home, you wouldn't do that.
The Infinite Precision Armrest is part of the larger Circulab on Stage standard initiative, aimed to bring your home or training room settings to the tournament stage.
이제 저뿐만 아니라 다른 선수들도 세팅을 더 원활하게 할 것 같고
가장 편안할 때 더 강력한 플레이가 자연스럽게 나옵니다.
Red Bull gives you wings.
The greatest players in the world are here.
They can just burn this one down. Oh my god, forward by 9!
You are going to see them like you've never seen them before.
Rocket Will as the Arcane Storm doing so much work, and Genji! They are just going to ace them!
누굴 만나도 이길 수 있다는 자신감 정도로만 생각하고 있습니다.
Genji! The EWC
tall in my environment. How could I ever close my eyes as they silent sins? They try to take me down with their violence.
Oh, they go back in. Becher flashes in, and down goes Knight.
All right, guys, I just landed in China. Let's go.
Play the local way, pay your way.
Have you ever seen the Great Wall at night?
Play the local way, pay your way.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Something new.
안녕하세요. 처음으로 월즈에 진출한 신입생 KT 롤스터 피터 정윤수입니다. 저는 데뷔 때부터 월즈 진출이 제 꿈이었고 계속해서 도전에 실패할 때마다 다음 연도에는 내가 저 자리에, 다음 연도에는 내가 그랬던 것 같습니다. 항상 꿈에 그리던 무대였는데 그 꿈을 이번 연도에 밟게 되어서 행복한 것 같습니다. 1차적인 목표를 이뤘다고 생각해서 많이 기쁘고요. 그렇지만 여기에 나온 팀들은 모두 저력 있는 팀이라 생각해서 잘 준비해서 월즈 우승까지 할 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 좋을 때나 힘들 때나 한결같이 그 자리에서 묵묵히 응원해주신 팬분들께 진심으로 감사드립니다. 바이바이.
through this quarterfinal. Already 2-0 up, winning the fastest game at Worlds so far this year as the second game of the series. For CFO, it is a mountain to climb, and unfortunately, they don't have a roller coaster to carry them up it, unlike KT, who keep going up, up, up.
BDD is looking like he's sitting on the top of the mountain, rolling down boulders at him. I mean, this is looking tough, because last game was looking like KT took over so fast, and BDD got monstrously ahead. I feel like you are down 2-0. It is at Worlds. It is potentially your last game. I want to see them get a little bit spicy. You're on red side. I think that means we're going to get some interesting counter picks. This is the time, if you have any pocket picks, you've got to do something because standard is just not even close to working.
Now you can see it. There's just no answer for it across the board, but how funky can you get? And whatever Fodian game they need to play, it's going to be a very difficult one in this to try and reach the top of that mountain. As KT, once more, going to see if they can push it to that game number 3.
I mean, Rest has played some weird stuff. You know, when you look at, all of the games that he played throughout this year, he has an Udyr, a Karma, a Shyvana, a Shen. Like, he's got Nidalee. He's got all kinds of random picks up there. So I don't know if he's going to see the opportunity for it. But to me, when you are looking like you are kind of playing a similar game as your opponents, but just a much worse version of that, it is time to kind of just break the chains, man. Go crazy. Do whatever you can think of, because you're not going to win this series if you can't really throw a wrench in the gears.
And if it is your last game at Worlds 2025, try and just go out and show what your region was, what you were capable of doing. Like even Kaiwing having like pockets picked like his Thresh as well. Show over the course of this year what you were capable of. And if maybe, just maybe, you can take down KT, push yourself to that game 4 in these picks, maybe that opens up that wrench in the works that you need.
Look, I'm not saying it would be the most KT thing to go 2-0 up, get everyone excited, and then lose in a reverse sweep, but that would be the most KT thing I've ever heard of, as we see the Ambessa banned away by CFO and an immediate Sion pick here for Perfect.
Yeah, Sion is up, and I feel like you have got to have some sort of a plan. I have been kind of preaching. I'm a big fan of Cho'Gath as a potential answer. Mord has been the answer of the tournament. So I was thinking something like that, or even if you want to go crazy, go like Fiora, I would be down for whatever. Whatever you think is the best counter, bring it out. Mord, I think, definitely can work. But the problem with Sion is always that not only are you so resilient, but all of your basic abilities are AoE wave clear. So it's really hard to actually create a meaningful advantage. And Rek'Sai, to me, is just a much worse Sion. So I don't feel like this is it. Unless they have something else cooking, I truly do not understand leaving Sion up.
It is also taking the Rek'Sai in this rotation rather than trying to lock in something strong for yourself, like that mid jungle, or even trying to open up something spicy for Kaiwing in that bottom side of the map. So I am curious what the next rotation is. I imagine it will be a jungle pick for Junja, but the Caitlyn actually going to be locked in.
Maybe just Caitlyn Karma or something.
Go for Prio bot lane and then play beef tanks in front of it. Hongyu loves a good Swain game, so maybe you just play beefy front line with an AD carry that can do the damage from the back line. Caitlyn, not the hyper scaler, but really good at sieging and does have a lot of damage in the late game.
The only thing I'm worried about, though, is that KT have been able to find success mid and early game. So if you're hitting this trough of where Caitlyn hasn't really hit her power spike, that's really where you are going to struggle in this game if you don't have something to facilitate that kind of mid-game point.
And immediately KT answer with the Alistar Ziggs. They know that they are going to get pushed in that bot lane, but as soon as the Ziggs gets towards that forbidden chapter, he can actually just wave clear for days. Chuck out the explosive minefield, a couple of bouncing bombs. The wave's gone before you can actually siege effectively.
And we do know it can be a flex, right? This could just be bot lane. Is just we're just going to actually just wave clear infinitely and try to make the life difficult of this Caitlyn. Bard, would be one of these strong laners here, especially early game against Alistar, who is a pretty pitiful laner that would allow Kaiwing to have both some prio in the lane and also get out on the maps and potentially, create a little bit of havoc, which could be beneficial for them.
I do like that thought of swapping the Ziggs down into that bottom side, because honestly I think opening up like an AD mid laner for BDD could also be clutch here. We've seen the Yone come out a couple of times, and if you want to try and have that access to backline, that can work out. Caitlyn, though, of course, going to be very strong when it comes towards both avoiding some of that pressure and also just clearing out these mid waves. So if you opt into this kind of 1-4 split push, it may be easier for CFO to manage.
I mean, Doctor has played the Ziggs 7 times so far this year. BDD has not yet played it, but of course he could. But I am just kind of assuming that they're saying, you know what, you're going for Caitlyn. If that's going to be your big swing, we're just going to neutralize you. And then Ziggs can be so effective when you have carries like the Caitlyn. Alistar's going to be flying in, Sion's going to be flying in, Ziggs ult is going to go on your head, and it becomes so hard to actually play out the fight from there. And I am getting a little bit worried if there's not any more spice than this for the CFO draft.
Yeah, especially when you're already from CFO trying to ban away more of that dive, because they kind of realize like something like a Vi here probably going to be the last ban. Actually, the Yone, because Vi's banned on that first rotation, because it is a case of just more of that backline pressure that you're trying to nullify, and Yone taken away. Like, it's very difficult for CFO given the current circumstance.
I do really like the Silas ban here. You know, it is something that would give them some aggression. It's also Alistar, which is one of those ultimates that are so key.
Big respect to Honkyu as well, because in the finals against Team Secret Wales, he outplayed Histo in the Silas versus Zed 1v1. It was, the Zed was so fed, and it was like kind of his Faker versus Ryu moment, his moment that he really announced himself as the best player in the LCP. So now, getting with the Silas, getting with the Pantheon, you can see KT saying, okay, we'll make sure that you can't be Giga tanky by stealing the Alistar ult, but we'll also make sure you don't have long-range follow-up engage to something like a Tempered Fate.
Is it? I mean, you could obviously flex Rek'Sai to jungle if you really want, but I don't think that's likely.
Just Kindred?
Kindred would be fun. I mean, Kindred to me can be one of those really powerful scaling picks. And you are going to need a lot of consistent damage to be able to get through this Scion, but
I was so excited.
Standard kind of at the end of the day. So I'm not really loving what we've seen from CFO on a red side. If you're going to go red side, and then it's like your Scion counter pick is Rek'Sai, and you're blind picking your bot lane, I kind of don't really understand what they were trying to go with here.
I mean, it must be just trying to enable Honkyu on something funky, right? Like, he's the last pick here to see what you can pick up. But BDT, Zoe!
I think it might be time to go to sleep for CFO.
I was going to say, if you want to play against your icon and he picks at the Zoe, Honkyu, what have you got? You've been watching this man for years, and now it's his signature pick that you have to find a win over.
This is just the GOAT Zoe, like, and there's so much poke. I will say, consistent damage, very low for the KT side. Your damage is Ziggs and Zoe, right? Yeah, there is the Viego, but Viego is not going to work through a tank or anything like that. So it is interesting. It is comfort, but it is also not the most easy comp to pilot. Yeah. That being said, if you are first to the objective as KT, trying to walk in through Ziggs poke and Zoe poke is going to be an absolute nightmare. And CFO at the end of the day kind of just went with like a couple meatballs and some scaling carries, and they're going pretty standard here.
I feel that we actually, I'm not 100% sure on it, but I'm pretty sure KT played this draft when they beat Gen G. With the Zoe, with the bubbles, and then the Viego coming across. I might be misremembering, but I remember it was about the initial poke into then the Viego coming out. But I could be misremembering it as we see the first Zoe at Worlds this year. For KT, they have the initial burst damage, and then they have the Viego looking for those resets. For CFO, they have some scaling. Wei does a lot of damage as the game goes on. They've got a bit of a tanky frontline, but so perhaps a range comp mostly?
I think what you can do as CFO, though, is fish for some nice picks, right? Like, Zoe, very strong when ahead, but if you start to fall behind and you're able to look for these, like, Bard ultimates to lock her down after she comes back out of the portal, like, they are very easy plays to make, and maybe that's how you can try and swing it. But again, if you just have this hard focus from KT on shutting down Junja, denying them from getting any sort of leads in the early game, you can look to snowball off of, hey, we're just going to move the Ziggs around and try and take towers very quickly.
Let's get on to Summoner's Rift for the third and possibly the final game of this second quarterfinal. I must be misremembering, having a look. Oh no, they had it. It was their fourth game, but it was with a Nocturne, not with a Viego. Similar idea though. The Nocturne was there with the Paranoia. You had the Ziggs, the Zoe combination for that initial burst.
Yep, absolutely. It is that kind of 1-2 punch of the Ziggs and the Zoe, but they also did have kind of some more consistent damage, and with the Renekton, they have that Nocturne. Of course, Viego, I think, kind of slots in similarly. But maybe we'll get a bit more of a Bruiser Scion to have a bit more damage. That being said, there's not really any like super tanks over on the other side. Usually we are going to see Rek'Sai building Bruiser, and Junja on this Skarner. Not going to be too big of an issue, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see how they can play it out, because it's really going to be about Honkyu and Doggo, I think, avoiding a lot of this poke, avoiding a lot of the damage. And Rest and Junja, it's going to be them moving in first, trying to absorb that poke, creating space for these carries for them to be able to have a chance.
Yeah, I think Junja's going to have his work cut out from this game. Skarner not great into a lot of range. Just the only real target that you're going to have is something like that Scion, but we'll have to see as it starts to go on. But again, I think it's more for CFO about getting Junja access in the early game. He has been such a core part of this roster the entire time that he's been on it. And unfortunately for him this game, he has been the target of KT consistently and hasn't managed to find that impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very difficult because there's a lot of tools to actually disrupt what the Skarner is trying to do as well. You're looking at headbutt away, you're looking at satchel, you're looking at trying to drive straight in on a Zoe who can sleep you. It's very, very difficult, I think, you know, for him to be able to find these effective ganks. And then sure, you could attack topside, but you're ganking a Scion, right? So it's going to be tough.
We've talked at length across the course of the series and on the analyst desk about, you know, you don't say you're excited about KT. You don't get too much motivation when you're talking about them because sometimes you're worried that they're not going to be able to have as much impact as they want. 2015 knocked out in the quarterfinals. 2018 knocked out in the quarterfinals. 2023 knocked out in the quarterfinals. Often they lose to a team that either loses to the champions or are the champions, but for so long, KT have been on the brink of taking that next step, and it seems like today here in Shanghai, it is finally their time to go one step further towards the finals.
And what an impressive performance it would be. The fact that they came into LCK and did not look good. They were not able to pick up wins at the start of their group stage, but instead then getting into playoffs, they have this massive upset against Gen G, and the whole world takes notice. And unfortunately that notice is exactly where KT fans don't want it to go, as KT weren't able to continue up on that success. But a 3-0 start here at Worlds, and now potentially looking to see if they can have a 3-0 performance here against CFO.
I mean, it would make it 7 straight wins at Worlds in the game score, but for CFO, they need to find a way in. Really feels important to try to create a point of power on the map, somewhere that you can really focus on, that you can play towards. Obviously, you do have these champions like the Skarner and like the Bard that really can get active on the map, but you need somewhere to attack. You need somewhere to go. I don't think it's going to be top lane, so you really are looking at Hongq and Doggo to try to have that big standout performance. It feels like kind of all the eggs have got to be in those baskets.
I really agree with you. For CFO, it's, again, like an international where they have impressed. Last time we saw them lose a series before Worlds was back at MSI, 2AL. And now they come back into Worlds. They impressed with the victory versus T1. And the question is, can they find that form again? Because KT have been on an absolute tear today. Like, CFO haven't played to the level perhaps they would have wanted, but you have to give credit to KT. This is probably the best performance I've seen from a 3-0 team coming back after the break, as we see a gank in the mid lane. Oh, Spectral Maw is expecting the flash from Hongq, but he holds it and is able to walk away. He did TP back into this lane. BDD burnt both his flash and his teleport too.
But realistically, like, it's a nothing gank from Cuz, right? He's already fully cleared out. He wanted to move back down towards his bottom side of the map. So a transitional gank that just puts some pressure on towards Hongq, and we've pretty much seen this consistently, right? The attacks from KT have been, try and get in towards the jungle. Can we burn Junja's flash? Can we put some pressure on Junja? Okay, we've done that. Right, let's move Peter mid. Let's move Cuz mid. Let's try and put some pressure on Hongq. That mid jungle that we hyped up so much coming into today has been under constant threat from KT.
Really has, and they're going to try to put some pressure on this top side. Rest has the prio. Perfect is up here. You can see BDD is moving, though. He's already heading up here, so Perfect just has to delay.
Got to kill him quickly. Junja!
Oh,
no! Look for the Yashav's impact, but he flashes over. Perfect, who flashes away. BDD has the Sleepy Trouble bubble, and Junja is going to take a little nap. Underneath the tower, no one tanking it. The paddle star going wide. Still damage onto Junja. He's able to walk his way away. In the end, an exchange of summoners.
That is heartbreaking for CFO. Junja not able to make it happen, and honestly, lucky they managed to escape afterward. Rest doing a good job of blocking the paddle star from being able to connect onto the jungler.
Yeah, did a really good job to be able to block that up, but that is heartbreaking. Junja, such a strong jungler here. That does feel like one of those world's nerves moments here, as he tried to flash in for the unreactable Ishtal's impact to be able to get the instant stun on the wall, but he just flashed past him and then tried to hit us with a little drift to get back into position, but couldn't quite find it. Might have been the first kill there of the game for them, and it's one that you feel like you need that momentum coming in, but someone that they have been able to depend on here at Worlds is Doggo. This guy has been having a stellar tournament. We've talked about him a lot, crushing on the Draven games, and he's going to be here on this Caitlyn when his team needs him most. I mean, he's first of all 80 carries, goal difference at 14, really high damage percentage, has been passing the eye test with flying colors. You need to get him in a winning position, because even in these last two games, when you think about who has been having the best individual performance for CFO, even in losses, I feel like it has mostly been him. He has been trying to find these big moments, trying to go aggressive. You think to the Corki game, you know, flashing and getting that kill. You think to the Kai'Sa game, that bot lane fight, you know, going deep against those carries and getting a couple shutdowns. If they can get him in a winning position, Doggo has the mechanics to get you across the finish line against teams of this caliber.
Especially against a composition like this from KT. This is one that wants to snowball. Zoe went ahead, incredibly strong. Zoe went behind, bloody useless. And a very similar story when you come towards the Ziggs, but Dokdam has not been missing these bouncing bombs, and Doggo's hurting.
Yeah, and Dokdam is level 6, so you have got to be careful. You get hit by anything else, the ult might just be your flash or your death. Yep. So Doggo going to have to back off, which means you're going to be losing some more minions.
Sleepy Trouble bubbled down. Peter looking for the headbutt pulverize. Spectral Maw coming out as well will land the stun, but only onto Honkyu. Kaiwing flashed away there on the Bard. Before we saw the trade in the bot side, Honkyu did look for a Spiraling Despair in mid, and it went wide, which is the "oh" I exclaimed as we worked our way down towards bot.
But again, KT, pressure mid, opening up for Dokdam on bot side, keeping him able to push in. And this is a big wave now that Doggo is losing on this bottom side, and it's because Dokdam was able to hit so many of these consistently. And now Peter, how much more do they want to go for?
The Mega Inferno Bomb. Doggo is healthy enough, but a third of your HP lost just as you walk back to the lane. Kaiwing a while away from getting down here as well.
Exactly, and that early pink ward that they actually placed over by the enemy blue buff, that was Cuz placing this ward after he did that drive-by gank in mid lane. That has been there the whole time. Yep. CFO has not been able to clear that out for quite a while, and that's giving them all this information. Peter just showed it to him.
Hey, mate, there's a ward in there. Why do you get the gold?
You know what? I respect it. He's like, we're winning a little bit too hard, buddy. The ward.
Well, Kaiwing has to kill the ward, so he's delayed at getting to the mid lane. Honkyu has to flash away with Peter collapsing. Cuz has started up the grubs and picked up one of them so far. Already took that Chem Drake earlier on. Ginger trying to steal away one of these if he can, but he's at a numbers disadvantage right now.
But you still have that TP on Dokdam, who's just gone for the reset as well, so potentially going to TP up to this fight. This is risky for a CFO.
Sleep onto Honkyu. BDD doesn't have a huge amount of mana. Grubs begun again by Cars. The flash! Headbutt pulverize! Oh, Peter, take a medal, take a prize, impaled under the tower. But he takes the enemy mid laner down with him. Rest trying to come in from the side. He's going to get slept as well. A perfect nap for KT to collapse as Dokdam takes the kill. Kaiwing chased out, make it 3. KT secure the feats of warfare.
KT have woken up and chosen violence, picking off members of CFO everywhere on the map, and now they're going to move over towards their prize of these Void Grubs.
And again, it's one of these situations where CFO is not respecting the map state. You called it out, Rob. Look at the Caitlyn. Caitlyn is locked under her tower down here on the map, and we have the Ziggs, who's going to be TPing in, adding the extra man, and just beautiful play there from Peter. Uses the W taxi, and then Q flash forward out of that, sets him up for first blood. Does lose his life, but Dokdam is there. They have the extra member. They get the feats of warfare, and Honkyu's just caught snoozing. He is taken down from long range. He was shopping.
They say don't meet your idols, and Honkyu really wishing he hadn't on this one. BDD setting that up for the long range play from Dokdam. The synergy with this composition from KT is beautiful.
I mean, the sleep into the Ziggs ult from long range. And Honkyu gets taken out, and now insult to injury. More waves going to be lost here. Dokdam 3-0, already so far ahead.
Temper Fate Satchel Charge down in the right position, though, for Dokdam to get out, and he satchels away from the cupcake. Took a moment to reposition himself there. Doesn't gobble up that Yordle snap trap from Doggo.
Again, CFO are trying, but they just can't quite get the plays they want. Dokdam able to escape, push on that bottom side, more gold into the hands of BDD, and his goal difference this series has been through the roof. And now that you're in a position to continue this pressure, like, you can move Ziggs down to that bottom side of the map to take that turret after you push in mid. Start to threaten now and use these walls at things like the Dragon, which have just spawned. And the first items are coming through very quickly for KT.
Yeah, it is really looking tough already as Kaiwing gonna get spotted, and Peter's looking.
The sleep again. Honkyu's gonna have nightmares. Collapse from KT. And BDD claims his second.
The best Zoe in the world, and he's showing us why. Relentless pressure here. This red side draft is not working out at all for CFO. I mean, you look up, you gave over the Scion, you've created an 80 gold lead for the Rek'Sai at this point. It's just a nothing burger. And then down in the bot side, you have this Ziggs that was picked as an answer to this Caitlyn, and it has been just excelling throughout the entire game.
And we've talked about it so often for CFO. If Junja and Hongkyu can be on the same page, they can do work, but KD have shut them down perfectly. Dogdam flashes away, the headshot's not enough! The Peacemaker doesn't find its mark. Junja flashes finally! Finds the shutdown, Cuz now on the back foot, ults away with that Heartbreaker. A magical journey for Junja onto Peter, but a double blast cone will get them to safety. As Junja might try and collapse on BDD, Ishtar's impact in, catches Peter, slams him into the wall. The rest of CFO trying to collapse, but there's the trample stun, a good impale through the wall. Cuz able to flash away, asleep onto that Skarner. Paddlestar just short of connecting. Spiraling despair on BDD, Peter falling low. Hongkyu finds the kill, BDD still dashing forward with the portal, jumps in the end, CFO will back away with 2.
The Flying Oysters are not done yet. They knew that that was their moment where they could put some more pressure, but Hongkyu needs to be careful. So Trouble Bubble doesn't land. I thought BDD might go for the flash Trouble Bubble there.
Yeah, KT were playing very aggressively in that moment. I mean, CFO pushed them out, but KT is like, you know what, we're just going to keep scrapping. They didn't want to back off to the tower. They didn't want to cede that jungle camp, so they just kept fighting, and CFO able to get something back here. But again, Dogdam just pushing through mid lane constantly. Rest has been a constant up in this top lane, has been very annoying to deal with for Perfect. It is a frustrating matchup. You're locked under your tower, but Sion is still getting what Sion needs. When we look back one more time, as they had to expend so much to take down Dogdam.
Yeah, the fact that he barely escapes here means that then, as you say, Junja forced to flash to make sure that he can get the kill, just a pixel on towards that health bar. And at this stage, it's the right call from CFO. Just throw everything in the kitchen sink and see what you can get. And KT, they do stick around a bit too long. They're hoping they can play this slow with BDD having the lead that he has. But overextending that little bit too far actually gives the numbers advantage with CFO that moment to find some kills.
Exactly, and I mean, even with BDD around, you're still down a member. Dogdam is dead. It's still a 4v3, and you're fighting it without the ultimates on Cuz, without the ultimate on Peter, with lower health bars. So it was definitely a very aggressive look there from KT. Wanted to try to defend. Not a huge punish either way, but it is a little glimmer of hope you have to feel like there for CFO. Unfortunately, the kills going to Skarner is not what you want to see.
He's the only guy with a big gold lead for CFO, 1,000 gold ahead on Junja, who has been the face of this league for so many years. As KT begin to push in top, the impale from Junja will catch out Peter, pops the Unbreakable Will, already down to half HP, Spiraling Despair is going to go back into the rest of the team. Cuz getting slowed by it as well, but the Severing Bolt not enough to kill off the cow.
Nicely done, though, by Junja, making a really good use of this ultimate. Pulls him in, gets the ult, gets the flash. Yes, he gets away, but they are not rolling over by any means. And if you can get that impale, it sets up Hongkyu for all of his skill shots. Those become point and click.
And also just gives them this vision control in this top side if they want to play aggressive, waiting on that push from Hongkyu in the top side, because you've got Herald in 30 seconds. So CFO looking to see if they can capitalize on it.
Redemption onto Hongkyu just to top him up. CFO will really want to take this out, but now they have to look for the reset. No wards currently on Kaiwing. That's what he's going back for. Trying to get them up. Does have the Celestial opposition, whereas Peter yet to actually upgrade his World Atlas all the way. He's finished that redemption, as has Kaiwing. So in terms of warding advantage, it's a small one for CFO.
You got push on bot side and the opportunity to try and TP rest in. Still though, they weren't quite able to get the pressure the CFO wanted here. Couldn't get deep vision. Now you've got KT back out onto the map, and Peter again in a great position to just sneak some of those wards into that top side and spot out how CFO are trying to move in en masse to this top side of the map.
You can see that CFO have maintained pretty good defensive vision in their jungle. They're trying their best to actually move it forward into that river to try to be able to take control, but Cuz and Peter have just been moving around here constantly. You know, BDD or Dogdam gets pushed, then they move over as well, and non-stop just fighting over this vision. It's so hard to fight against a Zoe Ziggs if you do not know where they are.
Especially when double Hex Tech Gunblade completed. That's so much burst damage if you can hit both of those channels on towards lockdown targets, and that's exactly what KT are looking to do, just fishing for some of these bubbles on the top side, seeing if they can connect with Hongkyu. But KT gonna take it slow, push out the waves, and then amass onto this objective.
Yeah, Peter gonna go back, pop up those wards again, went from 1 to 4. And you have to remember as well, with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, the next bit of magic damage you're taking is amplified, so those bouncing bombs can kind of act just like a paddle star.
Ziggs ult too. I mean,
that's my worry.
That's kind of the real dream, is you hit that on a carry, you press R, they're either dead or they leave the fight, right? Like there's no continuing the fight as Doggo. And, you know, in that situation, if they're going to commit that, Kaiwing is going to have to be really fast with almost defensive Bard ults, right? Because if to start off the fight, one of your carries gets hit by a sleep and Ziggs is going to throw out his ult, you have got to be right there to try to deny it. But that takes really quick reactions.
And Herald no longer the target for either of these two teams as KT set up vision around the Drake. Will be soul point for them, and an Infernal Soul with Ziggs and Zoe is not something you want to give over easily. Already down to 4K. Peter acting as a bouncer. Rest trying to get in. Ginger going forward as well, but a good pulverize from Peter. The Drake stopped with a Tempered Fate. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble not going to hit on Doggo. The smite from Ginger finds it, and Impale as well. Spiraling Despair for KT is perfect. Forced to flash away. CFO find the fight, find two. Rest dives onto the backline, gets a double knock. Ginger still looking for the chase. A Satchel charge out into the flash. Edge of Ishtar won't go any further with that Ishtar's impact. An ace in the hole won't be enough, but Rest still on the chase onto BDD. Forces him back underneath his tower.
KT's poke is exceptional.
Look at Rest.
Poke lands, and Rest want to keep this going.
He slept. Satchel Charge's going to knock him back. Decimating Smash there as well. Rest used the tunnel. He flashes back in, and Rest just slices them where they stand. He'll pay for it with his life. In the end, CFO turn their eyes towards the Herald.
Exactly. They're going to be able to use that pressure to go over towards the Herald. I mean, this is the other side of this style of composition. It is so oppressive when all your poke is hitting, but when the spells don't land, you have no consistent damage whatsoever. And watch BDD in this fight. He's kind of having this like one-on-one on the side against Doggo, but everything misses. And when those first round of spells do miss, Junja flashes in, gets the smite, and BDD cannot hurt the front line whatsoever. The carries are untouched on the CFO side, and once CFO are in the mix, they can't be stopped.
And that's the big one, is as soon as you get this Garner into place, as soon as this Rek'Sai can actually get onto the targets, that's where they are so terrifying. And ideally, KT don't let them get into that position. But by over-grouping at the Dragon, they open up everything for CFO. And it's just maybe give CFO that hope. Control the area, control the objectives, but Doggo...
Onslaught, Doggo has the flash and has to use it. Gets himself to safety. KT's still looking for a little bit more. Importantly, most of the gold in that last fight for CFO, who have evened out the total gold in the game, did go to their jungler and to their top laner. A Rek'Sai can do a lot of damage. Titanic Hydra complete. Tunneler as well, building up to more of those physical damage items, but it's not as much as you would like.
But for me, it's less about the gold, it's about the map control.
Sure.
Because that's really what CFO need. When you're getting down these turrets, it doesn't give KT as much access to the map, and you can make plays like this.
Styles impact, Satchel Charge stops it. That does mean the Satchel can't be used on the tower.
But it also, again, it's about getting this deeper vision. So as KT look to contest objectives, they're not throwing these like long-range bubbles through the walls that can then retreat, fall back step by step, and you have to constantly try and fight for that control back over the objective. If you can park yourself as CFO in front of it, you force KT to pull that trigger early, which is exactly what we just saw. That's not what KT want to do.
I mean, it's just kind of such an interesting set of compositions, right? Because KT's comp really is all or nothing, right? You hit everything, you hit that sleep into the Mega Inferno Bomb, all of a sudden CFO can do nothing. You miss all those early spells and get hard engaged on, all of a sudden you're not really putting out any pressure either on that front line, and Cuz is 1.3k gold behind. This Viego really needs that first reset.
Yeah.
And there's not any like point and click. You're not paired with a Syndra, an Annie, an Ahri, anything like that. So it's, again, it's just everything is, does your poke land?
Oh my god! Oh my god, the Mega Inferno Bomb of Doom, and Ginger overstepping Peter with a great double pulverize onto the backline, and everything hits this time. Rest tries to dive in, but is put to sleep, and all he'll see are nightmares of KT. A triple in the end for Dogdam, another sleep landing, and the chase comes out from Perfect and from Dogdam! Hongchu is not done yet. Castle chasing down. A heartbreaker, a stake through the heart of CFO as KT win out the fight.
It's a taster of what CFO could have, but it's KT who are once again cooking CFO over an open pit. The amount of gold and nourishment they're getting out of this roster is insane right now.
I mean, we just got to see what the two different fights look like. The abilities hit, and there is not a lot you can do. Look at this beautiful sleep into the Mega Inferno Bomb, into the Paddle Star, everything timed perfectly there. We're gonna call it the Mega Inferno Bubble. That was looking clean. And with him gone already, BDD, he's looking like he's got an aimbot. He's just point and click.
Peter caught with a Tempered Fate. And that cow might be going golden, but he is going to get skewered by CFO. The Otacon next TP's coming out as CFO try to up the tempo. TP out from Perfect as well as KT are going to call for a fight of their own.
You've got to wait for BDD. This wall could be devastating, but he's so far away. The ultimates are flying, but Otacon is going down.
Honku already down to half HP. Perfect with the decimating smash doesn't land it. The Otacon should be secured here for CFO. They get it. The sleep lands, but only onto rest. Will KT continue to chase, or will they accept that this fight is not for them?
Fantastic play from CFO. They get the pick and they just force their hand, immediately start the Otacon, rush it down. Don't allow KT to get set up. KT's comp is so weak when they're late to the fight.
And this is the scrappiness we were talking about for CFO. They don't want to give up the area. Dragon's there.
Oh, the damage onto Honku, spiraling despair though, into the net! And down goes BDD. Kaz on the backline gets the reset. He possesses that way, and the chase continues. Dives across the wall. Spectral Maw doesn't get the stun. Ginger trying to retreat. Dogdam looking for that satchel. Another stun's going to land. And Rest has the flank. Dogger's there as well. Ginger falls. And now the Skarner taken away by Kaz. Rest trying to get in, locked against the wall. And Kaiwing and Doggo leave him for the KT Wolves. They'll get the kills. They'll clean it out. And will they turn their eyes towards the Drake? They'll do that and take mid.
CFO tried to salvage the play with Doggo and Rest running as fast as they could. But it's KT who are pouncing on Junja and finding the kills they need to turn the play back.
I mean, it feels like it was just 2 or 3 minutes ago that we were talking about Cuz being down 1.3 gold. He got 7 kills in a row and now is up nearly 2K on this Viego. He is a problem. Has the entire LDR purchased up. They just moved towards Soul Point as well. This play to start it off, though, was really nice from Doggo. As BDD goes over the wall, he almost one-shots him, but he goes back into the root. You got the 90 caliber net hitting him, takes him down with that headshot. But Cuz is such a problem. We talk about the lack of consistent damage. Doesn't feel like they have that anymore.
Honku's the timing! Decimating smash against the knockup. They don't kill the tower. Mega Inferno will go down as well. As Honku takes a drive to his demise. And now KT can look for more. BDD with a paddle star doesn't quite clip Junja. CFO back away.
Perfect timing on that decimating smash was just that. What a beautiful play. Catches Honku as he pops out of the Herald there. Peter follows up. That's the carry down.
And it was unnecessary. You didn't need to take that ride. Honku thought maybe he could get it, but the tower doesn't even fall off the back of it. It is a stiff breeze away from falling. But KT, when CFO find their hope, they snuff it out so fast.
Yeah, and the pedal difference is pretty significant, though. You have to look over at CFO's side. It's about 2,300 gold in their favor as far as adaptive stats. So the gold lead lies to you a little bit, but still, it is KT getting further and further ahead, nearly 4,000 gold up. 3.5 minutes until CFO is going to have to try to make their last stand. It really feels like it's all about the setup at the Dragon, because if KT are there first, it feels almost impossible to walk in. But likewise, if CFO are there first and you're trying to walk through a way, you're trying to walk through this trap line, the poke is never going to come. So it's all about who can get that setup, who can control vision. And right now, it's been KT with the pushing waves, and it's them getting the much easier setup.
BDD pushing in this top side on his signature pick. This Zoe lost on it back in 2022. Has only played it once since then, but averages about 75% win rate on the champ all time. So often we see KT having it banned against them. For Honku, he'll be looking like the last couple of fights have gone well. Couple of good spiraling despairs. I don't think he's had a series where he would say he's shone, but he can do it. We have seen him so many times come back from poor series, from poor games, and within that same game actually accelerate himself to victory.
And the spiraling despairs have been so crucial, not only for getting some of these picks, but getting those slows are crucial to enabling Junja and Rest to get into these fights. So if you can find them, that can be the difference maker, that little bit of a slow that enables CFO to close the gap.
And we got to remember, KT, this team that is synonymous with heartbreak, that is synonymous with these devastating losses, is now potentially one fight away from sealing the deal on their first ever World Semifinals. BDD, the only player on the team to ever make World Semis, and they're looking for a pick on Rest.
Just trying to tunnel away, but Peter uses the minion line to try and get himself towards it. There's the knockup, there's the trample, there's the drowsy, and there's Rest sent to a coffin. The CFO will use this time to push in the mid lane, though. Take a tower of their own, can chase forward a little bit further. They do have cannon minion here, acing the hole onto Dogdam. Now they retreat because KT are collapsing.
But you still have BDD pushing to that bottom side, so CFO, they're not able to get the tier 2. It would be BDD who's able to pick up that objective, but CFO...
Flash from Junja, Impale doesn't connect, but the damage onto Cuz will stick. Meanwhile, on the backline, Doggo has to retreat. Kaiwing doing the same, Perfect still just standing as a meat wall in front of CFO. Junja's gonna fall first, BDD gets Honkyu, and now KT can smell their victory.
BDD arrives and CFO dies. The Baron is next on the table here. They are crushing this fight. CFO got picked off in the side lane, tried to force their hand, but KT make the collapse happen. And not only do they get that, they got the tier 2 bot, they get the Baron, they get everything.
And on this composition that feels like it is unique to KT, this Zoe and Ziggs, they're hoping they can burst it down. They should be able to do so, as Rest was there. But KT, this is beautiful. And CFO have to try and make this play. They know they're losing, they know they're behind. So Junja tries to go for the all-in, Cuz escapes, but watch the damage. The knock-up from Perfect sets up Doggo and Kaiwing to take half their health bar off the Mega Inferno Bomb, and then KT follow.
Now, Peter for player of the series, man. He
100%.
headbutts away the impaling Junja so it doesn't connect, and then Cuz can rejoin the fight. It's just been sublime from him every game.
I mean, he's absolutely smurfing. That Ziggs ult had to be 3,000 plus damage between the 3 people that it hit. Like, that was crazy. BDD arrives, snipes another one. He's got death cap completed now. 2 seconds until the potential last stand here of CFO. Can Junja come up with another hero steal?
Rest is in the top lane, pushing in for that tier 2. Does have the teleport and will use it. The Drake down to 9,000. BDD looking to see if he can find a sleepy trouble bubble. Lands it onto Rest. He can't join the fight. Tempered Fate on the backline. Battlestar just short. Dragon down to 4k. As KT look for the soul and knock back onto Junja. And again, it's Peter who keeps the enemy jungler at bay. Rest dives in, but the rest of his team are distracted by the cow. Now they're chased in with an unstoppable onslaught. And if that's not a name for how KT have played this series, I don't know what is. Unstoppable from KT as they march down CFO and look for the semis.
No one expected KC to be one of the teams that could push themselves forward, but at semi-finals in their eyes, their curses may be damned in this position.
For the first time ever, KT looked ahead to the World Semi-Finals.
And with only Kaiwing left to watch, CFO will be eliminated. A valiant stand from them. A valiant stand for the LCP, but today is KT's day. Kaiwing can do nothing but watch as KT take the Nexus Towers. The Nexus next, the KT coaster keeps on climbing. For the first time in history, KT are going to semis.
And what an incredible run it has been for KT. Make it 7 wins in a row at Worlds 2025. Yet to drop a game. They have been on fire. And who'd have thought Peter would be the one stepping up so much in a series like this?
His first time at Worlds, his first time outside of South Korea, and Peter is carrying KT alongside members like BDD. What an impeccable performance from the support player, and what a moment for KT fans around the world. Semi-finals for this roster, and now the question is, what is the limit for them?
And for CFO, a moment of contemplation as they see KT take their bow. They can be proud of what they've done, making it to the quarterfinals, taking victories against T1, managing to pick up wins, showing that the LCP can challenge on the global stage again for the first time in 10 years. All those 5 players and Driver alongside them deserve your respect. What a performance overall from CFO.
Ending a drought a decade long. This team absolutely should walk away with their heads held high. But Desk, is it time to get excited yet? Come on!
I think it's finally time to say it! Oh my god! The first time in the history of the organization, KT Rolster make it to semifinals. Emily, are you excited?
Oh my gosh, I don't even want to say it. I was just thinking of all of those amazingly nice KT fans at 2018 that I watched this team lose to IG. I hope they're still keeping KT fans and they're watching now because I immediately just thought of them and how happy they would be.
And they are looking so good while doing it. Really well deserved. Peter stepped up huge.
Oh my gosh.
So many big plays from him.
He was subbed out during the year. Thinking about the days he was playing at Nongshim until the performance he put out today. Peter, goated performance this series.
He was so good, and this is his first international. This is his first time on a plane. And he's always just so happy to be here. If you haven't seen any of the interviews that the LCK English broadcast has done with him, he's always so happy, so fun. And he showed up massively today. He was such a huge part of how KT were able to get ahead in these early games, which we hadn't seen as much from them at this tournament or across Split 3.
One player that we need to highlight once again, he has been the backbone of this team all year long. It is BDD once again. He is the Oppo player of the series with his signature Zoe in Game 3.
Yeah, and it came so close between BDD and Peter because they both were absolute stars today. The reason why I think we ended up siding with BDD was this Zoe performance, right? The Zoe Ziggs combo coming out of KT once again, Kobe.
So many big performances from him. You know, BDD has been doing work all year long for this team, and this series was no different.
Yeah, it was just, so BDD is someone who's been around for so long, and you heard even Chai in his interview with Shox at the beginning of the day, right? He's like, BDD is someone I admire so much for his resiliency. He's been around for so long, continuing to grind, and just had a phenomenal performance today.
And Hongkyu as well said, BDD is my idol. BDD, by the way, his line in the teaser goes so hard. It's like, yes, if you consider me your idol, I'm going to show you what it takes to become one. And he did.
Shout out to CFO, of course, here in this series. They had an amazing year. It's hard, you know, when you come back to quarterfinals here, it makes such a difference from the Swiss stage. The time you have to prepare, it was just not their day today, but honestly, massive shout out to whatever this team has been able to achieve this year on the international stage. I want to see this roster again.
Yeah, and you saw it from their gameplay, right? Like even in this third game where it looked like, okay, they're in a really tough spot, they never kept fighting. I thought this was the first game where Junja really was able to actually start popping off. Any KT fan was definitely super nervous watching that. But the CFO roster is so fun, and I really hope they do stick this core together because they play so well together. They are a true united team.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Hongkyu is still only 18 years old. Yeah. He has a very bright future ahead of him. I hope that he can stay in the LCP because a lot of teams are probably going to want, to pick him up. Doggo as well, what an amazing year for him. Such inspirational stuff from this team.
This team reignited the hope for their region with young blood, with young guns and young players that I hope we're going to keep on seeing again. I hope this team sticks together, but for now, it has been KT's day and only their day so far. The improvements from this team, from the Swiss stage, they are still undefeated, Emily.
This team was playing a tiebreaker with D+ Kia to see if they'd even get in the top group, was farmed by all of the LCK top teams, except for Nongshim. Sorry, Nongshim. And they're in semi. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't had to play top LCK teams at Worlds, so maybe that's part of it.
You know what? They're going to get the rematch. Yeah. They're going to get the rematch that got them here in this very stage at Worlds 2025. The next opponent is going to be Genji. Given how exciting, I'm going to say it, I don't care now. The last series between these two teams has been...
I got beat up for that at the beginning of the show.
Well,
I would never beat up Lori.
We make the rules here. You just need to stick to them. But yeah, so far it has been KT's day at Worlds 2025. Any final thoughts, guys, on this series, on this team, on the progress that they've made over the year?
I mean, they look good. That was some domination.
Shocked but happy.
We're going to have an interview on stage in just a couple minutes, the Verizon post-game interview with Katie Dogdam on stage right now with Candice and Fanny, and live translation by Jason, of course.
主持人余说要恭喜 KT 获得本场比赛的胜利。我们邀请到的是 Dukton 选手来到我们的赛后采访， 先有请他和大家打声招呼。
먼저 인사 부탁드리겠습니다.
따자와슈 KT 롤스터 AD 덕담.
Hello everyone, this is KT Roasters AD Carry Tokdam.
那今天的整个系列赛，其实 KT 都展现出了超强的一个纪律性，同时3局比赛都取得了很大的领先，所以在他们的 BO5第1局顺利拿下的那一刻，是不是就非常有自信，能够赢下今天的整个系列赛呢？
먼저 승리 축하드립니다. 사실
Congratulations on the win today. KT Roaster had a fantastic performance and a dominating performance all over the Rift. After winning the first game of the best of 5 series, did that give you a confidence boost that you will be able to close out the entire series with a win? Yeah, after getting the Game 1 victory, we realized our preparation is really good and working so well, so I had a lot of confidence.
确实打得非常的不错，而且你的辅助 Peter 选手也打得很好。第1局的布隆呢是开团反打，样样精通，而第2局他的泰坦在中路游走拿下内1血也非常的关键。第3局的牛头也表现得很好，所以作为他的搭档 AD， 怎么样评价他今天亮眼的发挥？同时，要不要在这里夸夸他呢？
오늘 피터 선수가 되게
Today, your
잘하셨습니다.
support Peter also had a fantastic performance. Game 1 Braum, we had a fantastic initiation and engage from Braum as well. And then Nautilus in Game 2 was able to make so many plays together with BDD on the mid lane. And then Game 3 Alistar as well. How would you like to rate Peter's performance today? Also, anything you want to say over to him as a compliment?
긴장도 안 하고 되게 깔끔하게 잘했다고 생각해서 앞으로도 계속 잘할 것 같은 선수라고 생각합니다.
He was not nervous at all, and his performance was super clean. I have a huge faith in him that he will be able to do better in the future as well.
그럼 바텀 후불에 대해서 점수 맺자면
How would
몇
you like to
점인
rate your
것 같나요?
teamwork together with Peter then?
라인전부터 되게 깔끔했다고 생각해서 한 10점 만점에 8점에서 9점 주고 싶습니다.
Everything was so clean starting from the laning phase, so I would like to give 8 or 9 out of 10.
是非常高的一个分数了，也可以继续的加油。同时，今天呢，其实你的好朋友们也来到了现场，为 KT 为你来加油。我们可以看到他们在现场是 Showmaker 选手、Lucy 选手和 Ghost 选手。当你知道他会在现场看比赛的时候是怎样的心情？在现在的赛后采访，要不要也对他们3个人喊一点话呢？
사실 오늘 깜짝 게스트도
Also,
현장에 찾아오셨습니다.
We had a special guest in the stadium to support you, Showmaker, Lucid, and Ghost. They came to the arena, watching the match live. What came to your mind when you found out that they will be watching you perform today? Anything you want to say to them as well?
응원을 해준다는 게 되게 어려운 결정이었을 텐데 와줘서 너무 고맙고 그 덕분에 이긴 것 같습니다.
我觉得他们能够不远万里来到现场为我们加油。
I'm very grateful that they decided to come all the way to Shanghai and watch the game and support me. I want to say thank you to them.
现场也掌声送给他们，好不好？欢迎你们。最后一个问题，因为大家都在说，在 LCK 的季后赛 ，KT 战胜 Genji 的那一局是改变了世界线的，而接下来你们在半决赛即将要和 Genji 再度交手，所以你会有怎样的一个期待？同时有什么想说的呢？
많은 분들이 KT가 LCK 플레이오프에서 젠지가 꺾은 그 경기로 세계선이 바뀌었다고 합니다.
Are saying that everything changed at the moment when KT Roaster beat Genji in the LCK playoffs. Now it's going to be a rematch. What is your mindset heading into that match?
또 이길 수 있다고 생각하고 어제 왕호 형이 울었다고 들어서 그 눈물에 대한 복수 해주러 가겠습니다.
We beat them once. I have a confidence that we will be able to pull it off one more time. And I heard yesterday, Peanut cried after the match. I want to get his revenge, the revenge of Peanut's tears.
我也会赢下剑气，为 Peanut 选手报仇。
好的，也再一次感谢你们来到我们的赛后采访，同时也让我们一同期待半决赛的精彩对决。感谢你，我们的赛后采访到此先告一段落。
Dogdam on a mission here at Worlds 2025 for the very first once again semi-final of the history of KT Roaster and Kobe. He said he wanted to get the revenge for Peanut. I have to say, the feels, but also not the same Genji compared to the last time they faced up against him.
Revenge is going to be a very difficult task because Genji look really good right now, especially their team fighting. but I respect it. Looking to get some revenge for Peanut. Oh man, that goes hard.
Yeah, and I mean, the last time these two teams faced each other, in fairness, I was watching it during the NA. We were in Dallas for NA finals. It was not a good time for KT fans. Gen.G are an incredibly scary team.
Yeah.
They are the top LCK team. They are one of those teams that I said was farming them in the Legends group. So this is going to be a really tall task for KT, despite that unexpected upset in the upper playoff LCK bracket.
Call it copium or hopium, I don't know, you guys choose in chat, but it's not the same Gen.G they were the last time they faced off against them, but it's definitely not the same KT as well.
Yeah, I mean, KT do look good, especially Peter. That's what everyone's been talking about. Peter looked really good this series. So many setup plays for the rest of his team.
Now, we have the first semifinal. It is said it's going to be Gen.G versus KT. I want to turn our eyes to the other side of the quarterfinals bracket because we're going to have a G2 versus TES. Two teams that were very happy to draw each other.
Yeah, this is one of those matchups where both of the teams are like, looking across, being like, yeah, I could definitely beat these guys, you know? So TES definitely not having the Swiss stage that they would have wanted to have. And, you know, G2 coming in, I think they're only ramping up, so they're looking pretty scary going into this TES matchup.
Yeah, I think G2 fans are probably looking at, you know, the Caps versus Cream matchup with salivating and thinking that one's going to be really good for them. I think the bot lane matchup is the most hype matchup with Jackie versus Hans. Jackie has kind of returned to his ways of just getting caught a lot. So, I mean, this one actually is very close. I feel like it's going to be infinitely closer than the series we just saw today.
I gotta say, I'm hyped about this one. My LEC fan heart is very hyped about this quarterfinal. We'll be back tomorrow for the other side of the bracket, Game 1 at 3 p.m. here in Shanghai. That's 8 a.m. CET and midnight PDT. Thanks everybody for watching this banger day, and we'll be back tomorrow. Take care of yourself and be nice to each other. Bye-bye!
So it's just everything does your poke.
Oh my god! Oh my god, the Mega Inferno Bomb of Doom, and Ginger overstepping Peter with a great double pulverize onto the backline, and everything hits this time. Rest tries to dive in, but is put to sleep, and all he'll see are nightmares of KT. A triple in the air for Dogdam, another sleep landing, and the chase comes out from Perfect and from Dogdam. Hongchu is not done yet. Castle chasing down. A heartbreaker, a stake through the heart of CFO as KT win out the fight. For the first time in history, KT are going to semis.